Chapter 341. The merchant looks at me with a curious gaze. What did you even come here for? It's not often people make their way this far north into Sector 1 by accident. I think to myself for a moment, but shrug and reach into my storage to pull out the silver card with an address from the guild leader on it. While showing the card to the man, I reply, "I'm here to meet a friend. They said I could find them at this address." His eyes start to widen as he scans the card, and I can visibly see his skin begin to turn paler. After a few seconds pass, he points to the door and speaks in a low tone. Just keep making your way north. Once you make it to the walls, I'm sure you'll be able to find that guild." He audibly gulps and refuses to make eye contact with me again, but I still give him a smile while walking out the door. "Well, all right. Thanks for the concealment ring." There's no response as I walk out into the town streets and keep walking north as he said to. His strange behavior makes me become a bit more wary of my surroundings. Just the Solaran worker acting off when I mention Valor City is one thing, but now a second person gives me an odd look when I show him a guild address. The town goes on for another kilometer uphill, and I make my way through a few smaller districts of residential and green park-like sections with winding paths, small ponds, and healthy grass and trees. The soil is hard, rocky, and cold, but the wildlife seems tough enough to survive in this environment. Eventually, I finally get a peek at these so-called walls the man in the merchant shop was talking about. Once far enough north, the apartment buildings become less common, and I actually get a view of the landscape behind the settlement. What I see is shocking. As the city thins out, more green grass, winding roads and trails, and wildlife come into view. There's a tall range of mountains behind the city with lively grassy green bases and snow-capped peaks. They go on for as far as the eye can see in the distance, and shadows of even taller ones lurk in the background behind the clearly visible ones before my eyes. The more incredible sight of all is the enormous city atop one of the largest mountains. It looks like its top was chopped clean off and a city rests on an elevated plateau kilometers above this small town below. Silver walls surround it, making the height look even greater, and the only reason I know there's a city inside is because of the towering skyscrapers stretching out from the circular walls up high through the cloud line. My eyes are glued to the magnificent structure as I continue to walk further away from the town behind me and up the winding mountainous paths toward the city. Many others take the same routes. There are a few silver and red trolley carts that make their way up and down the main road to the city, bringing people to and from, but I decide to enjoy the view and crisp cold air to walk on my own. Quite a bit of time passes before I start to make my way toward the crowded base of the mountain. The towering silver walls look even more enormous now that I'm so close. It takes almost an hour to make my way up the mountain to the gate. There are hundreds of people standing in an orderly line, and to my surprise, there are only 2 guards in silver armor that match the walls. The line slowly moves forward as I prepare to come up with a disguise and pay a fee to enter. One of the masked silver guards speaks up. "What's it going to be? Silver, gold, platinum, or the royal coin today, sir?" I freeze for a moment, as these words don't make much sense. The guard senses my hesitation and continues. "This is the city of commerce. What amount of money will you be spending during your stay? Silver, gold, platinum, or the royal coin?" I pause again but clear my throat and reply, this time more aware of the question. "Gold. I'll most likely be spending gold in the city today." He pulls out a small wristband and replies again while motioning for me to give him something. "How much gold would you like to insert for starter credits? You may add to your total credits or cash out your credits back into gold at any given time at the credit stations all around the city." I pull out a small handful of gold and place it in the guard's hand. "I'll start with 5 gold. Maybe I'll add more later." He nods and presses a few buttons on the small wristband before allowing me to place it around my left wrist. The moment it clicks into place, it changes colors from a nearly transparent coloring to now shimmering gold. A few thin black numbers show up on the underside right beneath my wrist. ID. C number 129880. Rank gold. Credits. 5.0000. There you go. Enjoy your time in Valor City. Just scan your wristband at the Golden Wall if you'd like to enter further into the markets today. You'll need to add more credits if you'd like to travel inside any deeper. To find the gates, just walk north from here. You can't miss it. The guard motions for me to walk through the gate, and I make my way into the silver walls of the city. High-quality, densely packed stone makes up the streets, and the storefronts that line the streets exude prestige the moment I look. With white marble columns and glass windows displaying magical items and jewelry, I walk forward into the city with my eyes open wide. Everyone within this city is dressed properly in suits and higher-class items. I'm glad I bought the ring to change my appearance before entering. Even if my hunter's gear is worth a small fortune, it still looks rough on the eyes to these city folk. As I walk further into the city, the fact that there aren't people yelling out sales on the streets is rather soothing. It seems as though the shops just display what they have to offer, and customers either buy or they don't. My eyes sparkle more and more the further into town I get. Using appraisal on every item some of the gear even surpasses 40 to 50% buffs. If these are the items within the silver walls, I can only imagine what's behind the gold. This portion of the city looks like an upscaled version of the town I just left. There's not a single apartment, only storefronts and high-class restaurants line the streets. Further north in the distance where the guard mentioned the next wall was located, the skyscrapers I saw from a far tower above and look even more impressive than I previously thought they were. However, the further I walk forward, the more I feel as if I'm being watched. The high presence of mana in the air feels eerily similar to my all-seeing eye skill, but I can't quite pinpoint where it's coming from. It's not abnormal for a city to have a surveillance unit, but I'm usually able to pick up exactly where it's coming from in a matter of seconds. Today, I'm not having such luck. It seems to be a very intricate system. Though I'm not breaking any laws or rules, so there shouldn't be anything to worry about. Another 20 minutes pass before I finally see the golden wall the guard mentioned to me when I entered. As I walk closer, I realize I never even asked the first guard where the mercenary guild was located. Hopefully, there's someone at this entrance that can guide me to it. As I approach, two guards stand in front of the tall golden wall in shimmering gold armor that matches it. The wall to this next inner wall isn't quite as tall as the one outside, but I can tell it's imbued with mana all the way through and would be much more difficult to break through than any C-grade mana shielding. One of the guards holds up a silver tablet, and I raise my wristband to scan it. As the tablet flashes green, the other golden-armored guard opens the wide gate for me to walk through without a single word. I take this opportunity to ask one of them the question that's been on my mind. Hey, where exactly can I find the Galeheart Mercenary Guild? Simultaneously, I show them the silver card. The guard that scanned my wrist just stares down at the card through the small slit in his golden helmet before glancing at my wristband and shaking his head. Stop messing around and put away that card. The Royal Guild isn't something to joke about. You'll need 200 times more gold to even think about stepping into the royal coin section of the city. His eyes dart around underneath the armored helmet like he's watching out for someone or something as he says these words. I take a step back to make a mental note of his actions just like everyone else I've interacted with today. Third time's a charm, and this sets it in stone. Something is not right here, and I'm going to find out what it is. Chapter 342. I let out a sigh. My 5 gold in the credit system apparently needs to be 200 times greater in order to enter this royal coin section of the city, making the necessary total 1,000 gold coins. Just 100 gold is equal to a platinum coin, so this must mean a single royal coin is 10 platinum. I've never heard of this currency before, so it must be a special region-specific one in this city. I'd have to clear out all the quests in cities similar to the size of Solara for the next 10 days straight to make that kind of money. Is there any way I can contact that guild without entering the innermost wall? He lets out a laugh. This is Valor City, kid. No one cares who you are, and no one will believe a word you say unless you have the money to back it up. I don't know how you got that card, but I can guarantee you won't even get a smell of a single Galeheart Guild member unless you have the coins to enter their domain. Money is everything in this city. That's just the way it works. I nod, seeing he's not going to budge on this point. Is there anywhere in this city one can make money? Or can we only spend it? I've brought quite a bit of gold with me, but unfortunately not enough to make it into that royal coin border. The armored man lets out a long sigh and points off back to the direction I came, then turns his hand to point to a portion of the silver-walled city I haven't been to yet. This city stretches all the way around in a circle, so my walk here has hardly scratched the surface of all the sights to see. Go check out the arena. People from every rank in the city reside there to place bets and make money on the fighters that take on beasts. If you're feeling lucky, I'd say go check it out. Walk that way and you can't miss it. I take a look at the open golden gate, then turn back toward the direction the guard pointed with a firm nod. Thank you, I'll be back soon. The gate closes up and I head off in the direction of the arena without another word, leaving the inner city behind me for now. Considering the expression on the guard's face, even if I walk through the golden gates and even into the platinum walls, I won't be making my way all the way through without the money to back myself. This city doesn't care about your identity. If you have money, then you have power. I grin to myself with my arms crossed as I walk through the rows and rows of high-end shops. Eventually, people in the streets start to crowd around and congregate to a single area off in the distance. I follow the crowds until a stone arena that looks similar to a coliseum comes into view. It's right up against the back of the golden wall, and it looks like one of the entrances actually allows people to enter from there. However, here within the silver walls, there are 3 arching entrances with people flooding in. Outside, projected onto the stone walls above each entrance, there's a display of a blond man with a large scar over his left eye holding a long silver sword. He stands alone, gripping his blade with 2 hands, fighting against a massive cyclops. There's no sound coming off the projector, but as the beast opens its mouth, I can imagine the roar it lets out. The hunter and beast run at each other, but the creature is sliced to pieces in an instant. The ground around the hunter's feet rises and crumbles, making it look like he's an earth magic user. The view on the projector shifts to the rows of seats and cheering crowd. I can't hear a thing until I walk through the lightly humming archway of an entrance with everyone else and enter the arena. The cheers of a crowd full of hundreds fill my ears, and I walk up a few rows of steps to find an empty seat to watch. The sound of an announcer's voice rings out. Stage 2 is complete. The hunter Stonebreaker has defeated the Cyclops and has now decided to move onto the 3rd stage. He'll be facing off against a level 240 high orc in the next round after the 5-minute cooldown commences. Please feel free to place your bets. As I hear these words, a small blue window automatically pops out from my wristband. Place bet. Hunter Stonebreaker, 1.35x. Monster High Orc, 2.79x. My mind races to do the math on these odds. I even try to use inspect and appraisal on the man's gear down below me to get an edge, but there's a mana-imbued protective dome that covers the main arena. It must be used as an anti-cheat, but also protects people in the audience from getting harmed by whatever beast is fighting as well. Clearly, the hunter is the safer bet. By the sound of the crowd, he seems to be a regular. Some of the voices I hear around me double down on this notion. I'm all in on Stonebreaker. This orc doesn't stand a chance. Yemi too. He made it to stage 5 before quitting yesterday, so I'm sure he'll come out on top. 10 silver on Stonebreaker. I watch the odds of the hunter get closer and closer to 1.00x, and the high orc's payout skyrockets past 10.00x. However, I'm in no mood to gamble. After a quick calculation, the house takes about 10% of all bets placed here. They win no matter how the fight goes. So, the more bets placed, the worse off I'd be. This is not where the money is made. The real money must be in the fighting itself. As I come to this conclusion, the announcer's voice echoes throughout the stadium again. Thank you all for placing your bets. You have 1 minute to finalize them. The Stonebreaker versus the High Orc match is soon to commence. If any of you are new to the arena and stopping by for the first time, this is how it works. I listen attentively, and many others stop their chatter as the announcer continues to speak. Every stage, the beasts that are captured by the Valor City Royal Guard are brought to our arena for your entertainment. Stage 1 begins with a monster between level 1 and 50. Stage 2, the monster is always above level 100 and below 200. From here, the level range rises by 100 every stage. Every round, the hunter may choose to proceed or stop and take their winnings. All of you are able to bet on the odds of our prized hunters. There is no lower or upper limit to your betting amount. However, every bet placed affects the odds. The announcer stops talking for a moment, and silence fills the arena. All eyes are on the hunter below as a large red timer counts down from 10. Once it hits 0, the betting screen disappears. Let the battle begin. On the opposite side of the stadium, a red-skinned high orc appears in a flash of white light, wielding 2 large silver axes full of rage. It lets out a roar and storms forward, and the hunter runs at the monster with his own blade drawn. The ground rumbles and the sound of metal on metal fills the area, but in less than 20 seconds the crowd is cheering and erupting with noise again as the monster falls to the ground and the hunter takes his victory lap around the ring. I chuckle to myself, sit back and cross my arms to enjoy the show. The next match ends in a similar fashion with the hunter taking a victory in Stage 4 against a level 320 mutant wolf-shaped monster I've never seen before, but he doesn't fare as well against the familiar enormous berserker giant at level 405 in the 5th stage. He's defeated by the monster in the ring and disappears in a flash of white light the moment he's torn to shreds. It seems as though they're using some kind of magical item to ensure the fighters aren't actually critically injured. The beasts, on the other hand, they're real and are really slain every match. The same cheers still ring out in the stadium as he's transported back to a small fighter's booth outside. The fans are here to see a show. They don't care who wins or loses. A team of 3 guards in black armor quickly subjugate the final beast that wasn't killed by the previous hunter. The announcer's voice echoes through the room again. After a quick intermission, our next fighter will take the stage. For anyone that would like to sign up for tonight's fighting slots, we still have a few available. If you believe you have what it takes to challenge the arena, please come down to the registration table at any time to talk with a representative and secure your spot. Chapter 343. The announcer calls for a 30-minute intermission as the next fighter gets ready in the ring. In the meantime, I make my way toward the registration desk at the far side of the arena. There are 2 separate booths in the vicinity. One has bidders in bold letters above it, and the other says, Fighters. I walk up to the fighter's booth in full disguise to meet a blond man in a white suit smiling brightly as I approach. The name's Mr. Wright. How can I help you today? Would you be interested in joining the event tonight? We still have time slots open. I nod slowly before replying. Nice to meet you. I'm new to town. Could you run me through the numbers? How does the event work in terms of fighters' pay? He glances at my golden wristband, then looks up to me to reply with a bright expression. Well, as I'm sure you've already guessed, the city takes a % of all bids in the arena. This facility and the auction house in the Platinum District are the 2 main income sources for the Valor City government. It's what allows business in the city to run tax-free. I raise an eyebrow at his remark but decide not to question it too much. As he said, I already did the math and no 10% of all bids don't get paid out to the bidders. So that money has to go somewhere. As I assume you watched at least some of the previous event, Stonebreaker walks away with a few gold coins every showing. I'm sure of it. Stages 1 to 3 are what we call the beginner stages. If you pass Stage 1, the arena will pay you 1 silver coin. For passing Stage 2, you'll receive 10 silver, and for Stage 3, you're awarded 30. I tighten my lips and give him a confused look, but he replies, catching on to my disappointment. I can see you're already a gold rank guest to Valor City, so these silver rewards may not be very enticing to you. Stage 4, the level 300 monster threshold, is where things get interesting. If you win your fight in Stages 4, 5, or 6, you earn 1% of all bids on the show. Just a single Stage 4 victory on a busy night can set up hunters for life. What do you think? I smirk. What about the higher stages? How far up can it go? This seems like a good money opportunity, but also a controlled environment to farm levels and skills. The man behind the counter lets out a laugh. Yeah, right. If you make it past stage 7, 5% of the biddings go straight to your credit account, but no one other than one of our top fighters and members of the Royal Guard can beat monsters like that. Here, walk this way with me. Let's do the registration test to see if you're even strong enough for the nighttime event. He exits the booth and we walk around its right side. Against a stone wall, there's a rubber-like padding that I can feel mana seeping out from. It's almost as dense as the shielding dome that covers the arena. At first, I thought it was just a protective measure for the people behind the booth, but now upon closer inspection, it seems to be some kind of testing device. The man in the white suit points up at the digital screen above the large black square on the wall. I'll need proof of any elemental abilities you claim. Then I need a punch or a kick on this device to break 300 points. The use of strength-boosting items or buffs is allowed. Use everything you've got. That's the baseline for late-night hunters. We want to make sure everyone can at least make it to stage 4. I step forward with a nod, putting a finger in the air and lighting it with a dark red flame before putting it out a moment later and squaring up against the testing device. I'll be using fire and 300 points. What exactly does that mean? How strong is a single point? Points are calibrated to the average strength per level gained. The baseline of a level 300 hunter strength is what we're looking for. I focus on the wall and slow my breathing while trying to tone down my power to just over what a level 300 hunter might be. To be honest, I'm not quite sure how to hit this measurement exactly, but I don't want to use too much of my power and cause any problems right now. So, I stand casually with both my feet in place and use a small fraction of my strength to release a punch while lining my fist with a small amount of mana not to unnecessarily injure my hand. I imagine the strength I would use to send a level 300 hunter flying back, but not kill them. This seems to be enough strength. On impact, the entire black square ripples and flashes bright blue. I hear the stone wall behind it crack slightly, but luckily as I bring my fist back everything is still standing and still in place without a problem. My gaze turns to the 3 black numbers on the digital screen above that continue to rise while calculating my power. 479 points. I curse under my breath as the man that brought me out here lets out an excited sound from behind. Ha! Look at you. You must have some great gear on to push a number like that. Maybe you'll join the Legacy Fighters and make it past the 5th stage. It looks like Valor City is in for an interesting show. He laughs again, and it only makes me realize how out of touch with my strength I am. With all my gear on, even if I hardly try, my strength is near what a base-level Elite Association hunter would be. Even so, it looks like this reading isn't going to be much of a problem. Whoever these so-called legacy fighters are, they seem to be on par or higher than the reading I just threw. This only makes me more excited. The fact that there really are monsters here available higher than my own level means I can't miss out on an event like this. I join in with his laughter before replying. Sign me up for tonight's event. I'd like to give it a shot. Money signs practically light up in the man's eyes as he walks back behind the counter. He picks up a silver tablet and begins tapping it a few times. Sure. Let me scan your wristband ID and get you connected to the system with the number of points you just had recorded. With a reading like this, you're allowed to come by any time you'd like to participate. The limit is 1 entry per day. It's fully confidential, so we don't need your actual status level or any specific gear stats, but we would like to know your main combat skill that you'll be using and a stage name to go with it. I've already recorded that you'll be using fire, but what would you like us to call you? Flashbacks of my time in the underground fight arena back in Vice City pop into my head and I smirk inwardly before replying. My stage name? Call me the Flame Emperor. After a few more taps on the silver screen, and the smile across the man behind the counter's face growing wider and wider, he looks up to me. I like it. You're all set. The midday fights still have a few left to run through. Then there will be an intermission before the main events tonight. So, feel free to enjoy the show or explore the city for a while longer. A reminder will be sent to your wristband an hour before the night events. During this intermission, you'll have to come back here to be granted access into the ring and given the proper gear to prevent real injury during the show. Sounds good. I'll see you very soon. With that, I turn to walk out of the arena and back onto the streets. I'd like to keep up my appearances, so I weave in and out of item shops in the streets before I find what I'm looking for. A glossy black mask with the appearance of obsidian stone, but the weightlessness of a feather. The young lady at the front of the store greets me with a smile as I bring her just the one item. Just the mask? Are you sure there aren't any non-ornamental magic items you're looking for today, sir? I shake my head. No, just this. All right, that will be half a silver credit. I put out my wrist and she scans it with a small silver device. Before my eyes, the 5.0000 gold credits drop to 4.9950 credits. I place the mask into my coat pocket, but it really falls into my item storage as I walk out the door. Thank you very much. Come again soon. Her voice trails off as I explore the city more. I keep an eye on the Golden Wall and think about entering the first layer of the inner city, but decide it'd be best to take things slow and finish up this event before I explore too far into this place. I won't even be able to get much further than the gold walls without putting every gold coin I earned in Solara into this credit system. I don't quite trust a digital system like this to hold all my money, so I'm better off earning as much as I can from a special event tonight and see how far that takes me. Before I know it, the sun starts to set slightly and the sky turns orange overhead. My breath in the cold air comes out as frozen mist and mana-powered street lamps automatically turn on at every corner. As this happens, I get a notification on my wristband telling me the intermission has finally begun, and it's time for me to check in and verify myself before the main event. I put on the glossy black mask and make my way back over and walk in as crowds of people walk out to nearby restaurants and shops in town to spend their time before tonight's show. When I walk in, the place seems eerily empty, but I see the blonde man in the white suit waiting nearby the registration booth. He stands with a silver tablet in hand and 7 other fighters talk amongst themselves in a semicircle. He recognizes me even with the mask and waves me down from a distance and speaks up as I join the crowd. Very good. Everyone's made it here. The preparations can begin. Chapter 344. As I walk up to the 7 other fighters, I can clearly see they're split into 2 groups. One group of 4, off to my right, is dressed in high-class gear, similar to what I'd expect an elite to wear. The first to turn their head is a slim, womanly figure in armor that seems to be made of stone. She has sharp eyes, dark brown hair, and holds a spear, but shows me an interested smirk as I approach and speaks up. Finally, some fresh meat that looks worth keeping around. They call me the Stone Maiden. I'm the opener for the Legacy Fighters. But outside the ring, you can call me Sia. She steps forward to give me a handshake. Before I put out my hand, I decide to take off my concealment ring to show my fighting gear and other buffs. We shake hands and make eye contact while I take a look at her status to find she has an advanced earth magic skill and is level 512. The buff below her status shows Rock Prison, but there isn't any extra information I can take away at a glance. I'm about to introduce myself, but a man in dark black clothing approaches from behind. He has 2 blood-bonded swords on his sides that both have high strength and speed buffs surpassing 100%. He looks me up and down, then nods. Sia speaks up for him before releasing our handshake and pointing a thumb backward. That's Ace, the swordsman of the Legacy Fighters. I quickly scan him to find he has 1 legendary grade skill, Extreme Speed. He's level 531 and has a ranked-up buff called Divine Speed. A tall and heavy-set man comes over with a legendary grade body-hardening skill next to greet me with a jolly smile. I see his level 548 status flash in front of my eyes, along with a ranked-up buff labeled Iron Body. He gives me a tight handshake, but I return the favor. He squeezes harder like he's trying to test me, but I don't give in until he lets out a laugh and releases his grip. Ha! You're the real deal. They call me the Shield. I'm a Legacy Fighter as well. But you can call me Max if that's easier for you. I'm not trying to hide from anyone. I nod slowly, a bit taken aback by their friendly gestures while scanning the rest of the contestants around me. The 3 others that stand alone, closer to the man in the white suit, are all below level 450 and don't immediately come up to me, and none have elemental or legendary skills, so I can only assume they're newer here or not top-ranked fighters like the ones that greeted me. However, There's a young man with a shaved head in an orange robe who stands still behind all the other legacy fighters. He doesn't wear any magical gear and has no skills or buffs at all. Even so, his level is higher than anyone else's here. It clocks in at 694. I try to do a full scan to see what kind of base-level mana control he lets out while in a resting state, but to my surprise, there isn't even a single MP of excess mana leaving his body. He doesn't raise an eyebrow or care to walk forward and greet me at all. This is the response I was looking forward to when meeting fighters of this caliber. Max catches me looking at him and puts a hand up, motioning not to get involved. That's Monk. We don't know much about him, but he's been here the longest out of any of us. He's the strongest too, so let's just leave it at that. I sit in an awkward moment of silence as all the top fight members here just openly told me their names, so I reply with mine. Well, thanks for the warm welcome. My fighter name is the Flame Emperor. For now, that's all I have to share. I turn back to the man who checked me in at the registration desk. Although I appreciate the introductions, people don't just become ranked-up battle-seasoned fighters by smiling and playing nice. I need to sit back and observe more about this place to understand what's really going on. The man in the white suit finally speaks up and leads all of us behind the registration desk and down a flight of stairs to the training room beneath the stage. He goes over all the basic fight details and instructions that were outlined for us earlier. We're stood in a large, wide-open white-walled mana-shielded room with a staircase that leads back up to the surface behind us, and a small isolated circle on the other end of the room that transports contestants into the ring. In between, there are punching bags along the walls, special black squares just like on the surface to test powers, and even weapons and shields available for fighters to use in the arena as they please. It's all C-rank gear and below, but it still looks like it would be useful for the average fighter during normal daytime fights. As we all get situated, a crowd of bidders and audience members enters above us, and a moving picture of the stadium and empty fight ring is shown on a projector against one of the side walls for us to see. I hear Mr. Wright's voice echo through the training room once the seats fill up about halfway. All right, the first event is going to begin shortly. Everybody line up. I'll assign your fighting order for the night along with setting up safety precautions. Everyone does as he says and gets in line as he takes out a small device to scan each member's wristband. My eyes wander as I see gold and platinum bands in front of me get scanned in by Mr. Wright's device. He speaks again while scanning my band. You all know how it works. If your HP goes under 10%, you'll be automatically teleported to our medical team to receive a full heal from one of our 2 healers on standby. Lost blood, missing limbs, whatever the injury may be, given enough time you'll be healed back to 100% before the next fight day comes around. Ding. As he scans my bracelet, a small green plus sign with 100% appears next to it. Beneath this, the Fight 008 shows up in thin black text as well. He continues, "We have 8 fights tonight, and I've staggered the legacy fighters in with the newbies as usual. Stone Maiden, you're up first for fight number 1. So finish your warm-ups and get ready to board the platform. Let's put on a great show tonight and make some money." Sia, the Stone Maiden, walks over to the platform with the same grin across her face that she greeted me with and begins twirling her spear around. "Ready when you are. I don't need a warm-up." As the people outside pile in more and more, the same announcer's voice from Midday Fights speaks up in a loud and excited tone. "How are you all doing tonight? Let's make some noise. Our opening event is about to begin." Chapter 345. The stadium fills up to its limit. The crowd that piles in is almost 3 times as large as the Midday Fights. From the projector screen below, I can see that every seat is filled and people are attentively waiting for the night show to begin. With the dark star-filled sky above and mana-imbued light sources illuminating the arena below, it's almost impossible to see the invisible protective dome between the actual fight ring and the cheering crowds ready for a bloodbath. Sia stands on the transport platform with her spear in hand and a serious look on her face. Then, she disappears from the warm-up room and is teleported into the ring. Let's hear a warm welcome for our nightly opener. She's been a regular the past few months in the arena, with a standing record of 46 Stage 5 victories and 3 Stage 6 wins. The Stone Maiden is here to put on a show for you all tonight. So get your bets ready and enjoy. She waves to the eruption of noise in the stands and takes a lap around the arena as the announcer continues to explain the event rules to anyone new that has joined for tonight's event. Soon after, the Stage 1 monster is brought into the ring and bets are placed. A small white rabbit with a long brown horn on its forehead materializes into the ring and the battle begins, but is over in an instant. As Sia shows off with an overpowered spear throw, tossing her weapon across the ring while raising the ground beneath the creature all around it so it has nowhere to run or hide. It's defeated and explodes into pieces along with the rock wall display that held it up in an explosion of stone. Max smirks and walks up to my side with his arms crossed down below in the training rooms as we watch it all happen on the screen. She's just getting the crowd excited. No one bets on the first couple of fights because the odds and payouts are nearly nothing. Stage 5 and 6 is where the real money is at. Just wait and see. He grins and stares up at the screen as the stage is cleared and the next monster is brought in without a moment of wait. Stages 2, 3, and 4 end in all similar results. Beasts of level 118, 249, and 326 are all brought in and one-shot in a magnificent display for the crowd to enjoy. This is why Sia didn't bother to warm up. The first 4 fights are more than enough. I whisper under my breath. Now this is where the real fights begin. Sia takes the full 5 minutes to rest in between this stage and the next before the announcer speaks up again. We have a monster that many of you witnessed take out our best midday fighter today, the Berserker Giant, a level 405 beast with impressive battle IQ and destructive power. Will the Stone Maiden face the same fate? Place your bets and find out. I grin as I watch the numbers on my wristband actually show some different odds. All of the previous stages there was not much movement on the bets, but now people are much less sure if she can beat the monster before her. I'm confident in her ability, and turn my gaze to see every one of the legacy fighters looking down at their wristwatches and placing bets. Max speaks again as he sees my confusion. You can bet on any fight you please, even your own. But you're only allowed to bet on yourself winning. Other than that, there are no rules against betting on other fighters. I raise an eyebrow at this. Apparently, insider betting isn't frowned upon at all. However, there's always someone deeper in with more information calling the real shots. I won't risk any capital until I'm in control of the fight itself. For now, I'll observe and enjoy the show. A few minutes pass and the giant humanoid monster with sharp teeth and green eyes carrying a shimmering silver sword is teleported into the ring. Bets are now closed. Let the battle begin. Sia uses similar tactics as her previous matches, but to my surprise, the monster isn't killed in a single shot. The spear hits and its armor is severely damaged with blood dripping out. But this is the first monster with mana control in the event that I've seen so far. She's able to break through, but just enough to injure the beast. It breaks out from the rock that creeps up its ankles and jumps toward the spear wielder with battle-crazed eyes and blood-stained armor. She activates her ranked-up buff and I see 2 semicircles of stone materialize out of thin air on both sides of the beast. A loud thud sends ripples through the air as the stone crushes the life out of the monster. The crowd stands up and goes wild. Sia drops to a knee with a smile, then takes a victory lap to retrieve her spear and let the remains crumble from her rock formation. As she takes a break, the announcer hypes up the crowd again. A rare occasion for the Stone Maiden to take on the 6th stage. You're all in for a treat tonight. Will she be able to take on the level 566 Red Ogre? Or will this be a one-sided battle? My eyes light up and are locked to the screen at this mention. A new monster at a level higher than anything I've ever seen in dungeons other than a few extremely rare breaks and labyrinth boss fights. Yet, this city just lets people fight them like it's an everyday thing. The crowd starts to yell so loud, I can feel the entrance of the training room rattle, and people start to stand up in their chairs. The odds on my wristband are against the legacy fighter for the first time in this whole event. Based on what I've seen so far, my bet would be against her too. But I can't wait to get in that ring myself. Minutes pass and the monster is transported into the ring. It towers above any creature I've seen in here all night, easily 4 times my own height, and carries an enormous black club. Its skin is dark red, and teeth are bright white. The silver chest plate it has on reflects off the mana-imbued light fixtures as it lets out a ferocious roar. At this, the battle begins. However, it glows bright gold and zips around the ring with agility far greater than the Stone Maiden attempting to dodge. She activates her Stone Prison buff that took out the Berserker Giant in one hit last round, but the Red Ogre smashes it to pieces with a single hit from its club. Sia is hit next, and is teleported out of the ring as her wristband hits 10% HP in a matter of milliseconds. The crowd roars louder and the excitement in the ring grows even greater while the Black Knights are sent in from seemingly nowhere to defeat this beast in an instant while the arena is cleaned and the announcer hypes up the next upcoming fighter. I murmur to myself, "They sure do know how to open a show." My eyes stay glued to the screen, and I tingle with excitement. I can't wait for my turn in the arena to come. Chapter 346. The next contestant is one of the newer fighters. He's a dagger user with considerable skill, making it past stage 4 unscathed but losing in the 5th to a large snake creature with scales too hard for his weapons to penetrate. This event was a nice palate cleanser for what's to come next. The announcer speaks as Max walks onto the platform. I welcome the next legacy fighter you all know well back onto the stage. The Shield. The crowd perks up and starts to cheer just like they did in the first event. With 91 stage 5 victories and 16 stage 6 wins, you're in for another incredible show. Let the fight begin. Max pulls a large war hammer out from an item box around his waist, then throws it to the ground by his side outside the transport circle before he's sent to the arena. I hear the whispers of one of the fighters behind me remind his friend that no item boxes or potions are allowed in the event. This wasn't mentioned to me before, but I take note of it now. I'll have to take all my items I wish to use out of my storage before getting on stage not to cause suspicion. Just like the contestants before, he does a lap to hype up the crowd before the event even begins. Once the battles start, it's a picture-perfect version of Sia's run. The moment an opponent appears, he runs across the ring and strikes them down with his hammer. For stages 1 through 4, every beast is killed in a single strike. The tank looks like he would be slow with a heavy shield and massive hammer, but his speed and agility are no match even against a level 430 mutant Yeti in the 5th stage. The monster's mana control looks fairly developed, but Max takes the beast out in 3 swings, leaving the creature lifeless in a pile of its own blood in seconds. He gives the announcer the go-ahead to start the next round without a break, and the same thing happens. All the betting odds flip against the legacy fighter. It seems round 6 is their usual limit. A huge scaled lizard creature standing on 2 legs is transported in. It wears light silver armor with various weapons strapped to its sides, and the creature carries a bow. The mana shielding around its body is visible to the naked eye, and it's clear the creature is imbuing its weapon with mana as well. It's a level 549 lizard archer of some sort. It looks nothing like anything I've seen in any dungeon. The fight begins and it zips around the arena with blinding speed. Although I thought Max was quick for his size, this creature is nearly twice as fast. The crowd goes crazy, and many members of the audience yell out in excitement and fury, contradicting each other and arguing about who is going to win this fight. Others just cheer and keep their eyes glued to the fight below as it's a very interesting one to watch. The lizard man readies a shot, and for the first time, Max activates his ranked-up buff. Along with the silver coating from his legendary body hardening skill, and a thin layer of mana shielding he's just capable enough to conjure, the iron body buff he uses places another layer around both of the lower ones, including his shield and hammer in a dark iron coloring. The mana-imbued arrow bounces off his shield and shatters into pieces as the metallic twang of mana being dispersed echoes through the air. Then another hits him from the opposite side, and the same result repeats itself. Over and over, the lizard archer zips around the dirt floor with incredible speed, firing off arrow after arrow directed right at the tank's vital points. They're blocked time and time again until the monster runs out of arrows completely. The moment it does, the monster throws its bow to the floor and grabs 2 daggers from its sides. His battle IQ is off the charts. If I didn't know this was a monster, I could easily confuse its movements for a human's. The projector zooms in on Max as this exchange occurs, and a smirk can be seen across his face. Close-range combat begins, and the lizard man begins to try slicing through the iron body defenses but is struck with the same predicament. Its daggers are blown back by miniature explosions of mana every time it attempts to attack, and after half a dozen lunges in, one of its silver daggers breaks in two. This is when the battle completely changes. It's clear the tank can't follow its opponent's movements to the exact points of contact, but with his defensive abilities, it's not even necessary. Every time there's contact with his iron body, the tank spins around and attempts to land a blow with his hammer. It takes quite a while, but the lizard's movements are limited when it's surprised at the dagger breaking on impact. This small hesitation gives Max enough time to finally make contact with one of his hammer strikes and send the lizard flying in the air to hit the clear barrier of mana shielding high up in the ring's inner dome. Another small explosion of white mana erupts from the barrier, propelling the monster back as it makes impact, sending the creature flying toward the floor at double the speed it came up at. The lizard hits the floor, creating a crater, and before it can think to move, Max comes swinging down on it with his hammer to land a final strike. The crowd around the ring can't believe their eyes, and everyone goes wild as the announcer yells out, only to hype the crowd up more. Can you believe it? The shield. He's done it. Our first stage 6 victory of the night. Max raises his shield and hammer up in the air to celebrate. As he yells this out, the buffs and active skills on him deactivate, and he falls to the floor next to the lizard man because of a lack of MP. The announcer plays it off as a usual occurrence, and many from the crowd don't even seem to care that he's unable to move on. Everyone is still excited for the first event of the night with unexpected results. Some people that still bet on Max just made over 3x their money back. Before the hype is lost, another newer contestant is brought onto the stage to give the crowd a cool down again. People continue to talk about the results of the final match for many fights that follow, not paying much attention to the fighter that makes it through the 4th round and gets defeated in the 5th just like the other newbie. Ace, the swordsman, takes hold of both his blades and walks up to the transport platform. He doesn't say a word, looking very serious as he's teleported onto the ring, and the announcer gives his introduction. Everyone welcome one of our newest legacy fighters, Ace. With a record of 14 Stage 5 victories and 13 Stage 6 wins, you're all in for one of the best fights of the night here. Make some noise. Ace stands still in the ring as each new opponent is spawned in and runs toward him. Stages 1 through 4 go by in a flash as he raises a thumb after each match to continue without the rest period offered in between. After all 4 of the starting matches, he hasn't even moved a foot out of place. The swordsman just waits for the monster that spawns in to attack him, and he swings a glossy black blade from his right side every time they come in range. There's a thin white light that appears around the blade each time he swings it, showing it's imbued with mana. As Stage 5 starts, I expect the fighter to act differently, but he still just stands still. However, this time the swordsman grabs both of his swords and slices the level 446 creature into pieces in an X formation without batting an eye. Stage 6 comes around, and the betting stats are going wild when the announcer yells out that the same type of monster that defeated the Stone Maiden opener in a single hit will be his opponent too. A red ogre. The crowd fills with whispers, and the odds for the fighter and monster fluctuate greatly as mystery fills the Colosseum. Once the level 569 red-skinned ogre is teleported to the arena, the crowd starts to cheer louder and louder. Instead of the huge metal club the last variant had, this one carries a long black sword. Ace smiles and his eyes finally show a hint of life. Before the battle even begins, the swordsman shifts his stance and readies his blades. Then, the roar of the beast and its shimmering glowing golden strength allow the battle to begin. The man dressed in black activates his legendary grade extreme speed skill and matches the impossible agility of the red ogre in an instant. There's a loud metallic clang and scraping sound that rings out as the two blades of the fighter collide with the ogre's. The moment they do, a blue light flashes around the swordsman's body, and he twists around the ogre's blade with ease. If my natural perception wasn't so high, I'd completely miss what just happened. I'm sure 99% of the audience did. The swordsman activates his divine speed buff and lands 2 clean hits on the ogre's torso before flashing across the area to prepare for another exchange. 2 open wounds appear on its front side, and before it even turns to see the swordsman facing its back, he already deactivates his buff and stands in a ready position to fight again. Consumed with rage, the monster runs forward, and following the loud clang of metal on metal, there's a small flash of blue light and the swordsman is on the other side of the ring without a scratch on him. Meanwhile, 2 more open wounds cover the beast's chest. This repeats 4 more times until the ogre's movements start to slow down. Its body gets covered in a red veil of energy. I can't use my inspect or appraisal skills from here, but I can only assume it's a conditional stat-boosting final move. The swordsman sees this and glows bright blue before their next exchange even starts. He starts zipping around the ring at speeds I doubt anyone here can even hope to perceive in their lifetime. In less than a second, the swordsman returns back to the position he stands in and turns off his buff while falling to one knee. In the same instant, the ferocious glowing red ogre falls into pieces, and the red glow fades as a crimson liquid stains the floor below it. The audience goes wild. They have no idea what just happened, but know the fighter won. Ace wipes his swords clean of the monster's blood while standing back to his feet and giving the announcer the go-ahead to push him to the next round. That's right, folks. Our second stage 6 win of the night. This brings us to our first stage 7 duel. Chapter 347. Ace seems to be extremely strong. He just took out a monster many levels higher than himself with ease, using only his swords and mana, no extra combat skills. However, I can tell he's breathing heavily. That divine speed buff he uses in a flash of blue light looks like it takes a lot of MP out of him. Please would you all begin placing your bets. The Royal Knights are preparing a level 672 mutant ghoul. Just by hearing its level, my mind is running wild. On top of that, its name is like nothing I've ever heard before either. They really do have unique and powerful monsters here. The crowd goes silent as they whisper to themselves and place their bets. When I look down at the odds, the favor is against Ace many times over. I sit and wait, hoping to gauge the strength of what this creature would be that is about to be released into the ring. Once the announcer closes the bets, a flash of white light welcomes the ghoul into the fight. I get a glimpse of its tall humanoid frame, just a head or 2 taller than the swordsman across the ring. It wears ragged clothing and has pale white skin tinted almost yellow in color. It has no hair on any part of its body. Its eyes glow orange and its teeth look rotted away. There's a light aura around it that matches its eyes, and the faint glow reflects off its 2 silver swords. On its left wrist, I notice a shimmering platinum wristband, but can't make out what it says on it or figure out how or why a monster would have one of those on them. In bare feet, the creature sprints forward at its opponent the instant it's teleported into the ring. Its body leaves the orange mist behind and Ace reacts by activating his divine speed buff without hesitating at all. There's a loud clang less than half a second later as the 2 collide in the middle of the fight arena. It's followed by flashing orange and blue lights as the 2 match each other's speed without a problem. Seconds pass, and the blue glow around the swordsman weakens while the orange mist around the ghoul only grows denser. I can see the grin and sparkling eyes of the swordsman grow with anticipation after every clash they exchange. His eyes track the monster's blade, but with his ranked-up buff slowly shutting down its clear, he doesn't have much time left. Still, the swordsman is using every exchange as a learning opportunity. His reason for coming out to the ring makes a lot of sense to me now. He just wants to fight stronger swordsmen, monster or human. I can only assume it doesn't matter. Right here is exactly where he can experience it every night. Win or lose, this is a successful match in his eyes. The blue buff completely dissipates, and as a result, the swordsman's divine speed goes away with it. In less than half a dozen more exchanges, the fighter is outclassed by the pure speed and battle IQ of this mysterious ghoul monster. Ace is transported back to the medical team once he hits 10% HP after a number of deadly hits. It didn't make a sound, and only mimicked the swordsman's battle style. Before I can study it anymore, a flash of white light brings the ghoul away from the ring as well. This isn't the normal way they're usually taken out of the arena, but the only thing I can think of is its wristband that I spotted prior to the brawl. Maybe it would be too difficult or take too long for a guard squad to take a monster like this out. So, It must be standard procedure to teleport them to a safe containment chamber after the match. After this fight, there are a few cheers but mostly whispers and small talk about the Red Ogre fight beforehand. Most people predicted the outcome of this match without a problem, and a lot of the audience couldn't even perceive what really happened. While the audience continues to gossip about Ace, the next newbie fighter is brought on and clears the first 4 stages without much issue. He's able to defeat the 5th stage with a desperate move, but both him and the monster fall to the floor in the end. He's unable to move on to the next round, but fights like this are what the crowd loves to see. The excitement is coursing through the ring once again, especially in anticipation after the mention of the next fighter. Now it's the moment you've all been waiting for, the main event of the night, our longest-standing legacy fighter. You all know who I'm talking about. Let's make some noise. The crowd's regulars start cheering loudly and stomping their feet to make as much commotion as possible. The new watchers that have come into the city for the first time all join in on the fun, and the energy in the air is ecstatic. Underneath the ring in the training room, there's only one other person left other than me. The bald young man in the orange robe. He steps onto the transport circle and is teleported in an instant. Welcome, Monk. With a standing win record of 316 stage 5 victories, 204 stage 6 wins, and 141 stage 7 clears, please make some noise for the champ. He appears in the center of the stage with his head down and his hands clasped. The crowd only goes more wild, but is calmed down after a few minutes once the announcer brings in the first fight and everyone places their bets. A single green hobgoblin with a pair of daggers at level 30 enters the ring and runs toward the man in the orange robe. The crowd goes silent as the man steps forward to put his hands up in a fighting stance. Still, there is no visible mana surrounding him or any sign of skills or magic being used. I'm thoroughly confused. As the monster steps closer, he does too, adjusting his hand positioning ever so slightly with every movement the hobgoblin makes. Once they're close enough to clash, the young man throws a punch at the monster's side while narrowly dodging its incoming blades. The punch sends the monster backward a few meters and it lets out a shriek, but to my utter shock, the beast isn't defeated. It runs close with its blades at the ready again, and all the man does is dodge them just barely and throw another punch back. The monster is visibly hurt with some broken bones and much slower movements, but this doesn't make any sense at all. Monk is nearly level 700, and he's not even able to one-shot a level 30 hobgoblin. My eyes track the 2 opponents on the screen for another dozen exchanges until the monster's movements slow down more and more after every hit. After 16 attacks, the hobgoblin finally falls to the floor in a bloodied and bruised state. The fighter is unscathed and the crowd erupts into cheers. I, on the other hand, have no idea what just happened. I murmur to myself as the announcer begins hyping up the next stage. How is this guy the number 1 fighter in the arena? Chapter 348. The next few fights that follow play out exactly the same as the first. Monk adjusts his speed and power to whatever opponent he's facing and takes them out in about 2 to 3 minutes each time, dodging the incoming hits and only throwing normal punches at the monster's vital points. In Stage 2, a level 113 orc gets pummeled around the ring and is defeated in 17 punches. Next, in Stage 3, a level 251 bloodhound gets circles run around it and is defeated in 14 punches. After this, in Stage 4, a level 340 humanoid creature with 3 eyes and a heavy club is taken out in 15 punches. Every round that passes makes me question what powers this man really has more and more. He's clearly using mana in some way, but it's invisible to the naked eye. There's no shielding that covers his body, and not even a layer of mana over his punches either. I know there's a trick, I just don't know what it is. Stage 5 comes along, and he takes out an enormous mutant bear-like creature with long white claws and a thick brown hide in just 13 hits. The man doesn't break a sweat. Every round that passes, the fights look exactly the same. Each time I think I'm going to witness him slipping up and showing a hint of mana or hidden ability, but I'm mistaken with every stage that follows. The 6th stage comes around, and the man gracefully jumps around the arena with ease, twisting and turning away from the same lizard archer creature that Max faced in his fight. Monk's speed matches the lizard man without a problem, and the arrows seem to fly by him mere millimeters away every single time. After his careful dodges, he manages to get in close, and just like every other opponent, the monster is taken out in just 14 punches. My mouth is left wide open after this fight. I saw how fast and powerful these Stage 6 monsters were against seasoned battle veterans, even with their ranked-up skills activated. For this man, he's using the same effort in this fight as he did in the first Hobgoblins Brawl. This makes no sense. Although I may have this reaction, the crowd outside is going wild. Newcomers to the arena don't know what to make of his battle style and are hesitant to bet on him in these higher rounds, opting for the monsters, while regulars are betting solely on Monk every round and making a small fortune. This must be the real money maker of the night. Even if it seems predictable, there are always new people coming into the city to enjoy the show. My eyes stay glued to the screen as Stage 7 begins, and the exact same level 672 ghoul from the previous round against Ace enters the ring. Monk does a bow before the match starts, unlike any of his other matches. Then, begins his fight with the pale-skinned beast with orange energy leaking from its eyes and pores. Because of the starting bow, I thought maybe this fight would be different, but the man just speeds up more, running around the ring with ease and punching the ghoul with lightning-fast fists when it leaves itself open after each sword swing. Without activating my perception buffs, it's almost difficult to track their movements. However, the fight just looks exactly the same. Dodge and punch, that's all this man does. None of his punches show any signs of mana imbuement, but an interesting phenomenon I see is every time he makes impact, the glow in the ghoul's eyes gets brighter for a fraction of a second. Then after, it dims slightly lower than before it was punched. Over and over, 15 punches later, and the orange light in the ghoul's eyes goes out. The creature falls to the floor, seemingly unharmed on the outside, but devoid of energy remaining within. Its overwhelming speed and strength against Ace, the swordsman last round, seemed as if it wasn't even there anymore. The creature in the ring seemed like it was helpless against just simple punches. Monk steps back and bows again at the spot where the remains of the monster once stood. Is teleported away and the crowd erupts in cheers. There you go, folks. Our one and only Stage 7 victory of the night. What an amazing showing. That only begs the question, Monk, are you ready to proceed to the 8th round? The moving picture display pans to the fighter standing alone in the ring. He crosses his arms and shakes his head. Still not ready yet, I see. Well, you'll all have to come back tomorrow to see if Monk will take on the undefeated 8th stage. Monk is transported back into the training room in front of me as the crowd cheers his name and the announcer continues. Now, we usually end our showings on this Stage 7 victory, but tonight we've decided to throw in an extra wild card that you're all sure to enjoy. The audience goes silent and begins to whisper among each other, trying to figure out what's going on. Monk gets off the transport platform and makes eye contact with me for the first time. I see an orange shimmer beneath his gaze for a split second, but can't tell if it's just his robe's reflection or my imagination. Either way, the announcer's words are my cue to get onto the stage. I reach into my item storage beneath my cloak and pull out the Flame Emperor's sword while smirking inwardly and whispering under my breath. Now, it's time for the real show to begin. The moment I step on, the transfer magic of the teleportation circle reacts with my wristband, and I'm sent into the fight arena with hundreds of people looking at me from every side. The blinding mana-imbued lighting fixtures make it almost impossible to see outside the ring. The only thing clearly visible is exactly what's in front of me. Welcome, the Flame Emperor. This is a fighter debut with 0 wins in any event so far. A true wild card, and an exhilarating event to end the night off. He could be defeated in Stage 4, or he could make his way to the 8th. We have no information on this fighter other than his signature elemental skill, fire. At this, there are some oohs and ahs from the crowd around me. Then a notification pops up on my wristband in blue text asking how much I'd like to bet on myself. I smirk and place 1 gold credit on myself as a starting bet to see how it all works. In the same instant, the announcer starts the show. The Stage 1 fight against a level 17 horned rabbit will begin in 10, 9. As he counts down, I hold my sword steady and point it forward where the monsters appeared in every event prior to this one. I have 2 options right now. I can take things slow and work my way up like Monk and Ace did, or be flashy from the start like the Stone Maiden and Max. Once the transfer magic on the other side of the ring begins to shimmer and a fluffy white rabbit with a long brown horn appears in front of me, I activate my fire magic and run forward. Chapter 349. Showing off my full strength from the start is not a good option. It wouldn't be an optimal move. Having the odds stacked against me in the later rounds would be the best strategy for potentially greater payouts from betting on myself. However, there's no reason not to put on a show and get the crowd excited. I get paid the same amount for the first 3 stages regardless, so I might as well build up some hype. With this in mind, I raise my left hand above my head and begin forming a ball of fire that grows larger as I approach the tiny rabbit. Just at the sight of my dark red flames, the crowd begins to cheer and become excited. Instead of swinging my sword, I throw the flaming ball of magic, about 5 times the size of the rabbit, down onto it, instantly incinerating the miniature beast. Plumes of fire erupt from the ground, and dirt and stone fly off in all directions. It was overkill for a small monster like this, but nothing so immaculate as to raise any suspicions that I'd be any better than any of the other newbies competing in the previous rounds. Fire magic may be a common elemental ability, but it uses up a lot of MP for the average user. Unknown to me, it's unusual for many fighters to use an attack like this in the first round. Ding! A string of notifications pop up on my wristband. Congratulations! 1.12x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 1 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 0.12 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 1 fight victory. Reward: 1 silver credit. 0.01 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance: 5.1250 gold. Use absorption. MCP: 104. Yes. No. I choose yes to absorb the small amount of mana control available. Before the debris even clears, the crowd is roaring with cheers, and some are even chanting my fighter name over and over as the announcer is already hyping up the next stage. I went from a nobody to a fighter to put their money behind in a matter of seconds with that flashy attack. I just need to continue building up this hype for the stages to come. The bets that really matter are on stage 4 and further, when the total amount won will be a percentage of the bets and not just a set win amount. I won't be able to do much damage with a 5 gold balance. The stage 2 bets are placed, and I throw 3 gold on myself because I'm much more confident in the system and outcome now. A Cyclops comes into the ring, and I decide to run at it this time to slice it in 2 with a single flaming strike, but make sure that the flames on my sword don't leave the blade until contact is made. While slicing through, I plunder every drop of its MP in milliseconds, bringing my own bar back up to full. The 2 halves melt with dark flames on them that don't go out until it's completely turned to ash. Congratulations! 1.08x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 3 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 0.24 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 2 fight victory. Reward: 10 silver credits. 0.1 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance: 5.4650 gold. Use absorption. MCP: 915. Yes. No. Another win just like that. I take notes from watching the previous Legacy fighters and do a lap around the ring, raising my sword in the air and covering it in a bright flickering veil of flames until my Stage 3 beast is announced. Stage 3 will begin shortly. The Flame Emperor will be facing off against a level 247 Bloodhound. Place your bets. At the sound of this name, my mind starts to race, thinking back to the time I faced a similar beast in a dungeon a few months back. A sly grin starts to come across my face as I think about it more and more while placing a 5 gold bet on myself with 1.11x odds. It's not the money that excites me. It's the potential for another powerful upgrade that makes the gears spin in my head. Once the ferocious-looking dog is finally brought into the ring via teleportation, it runs toward me, glowing bright red. I run forward too, activating appraisal and seeing bloodlust in its active skills. The grin across my face only grows, and instead of killing it right away on the spot, I let the hound run by me and attempt to grab an arm. I dodge with ease and position myself for an attack, but then think about the possibilities of leading on the crowd right now. Making them underestimate me as much as possible will be beneficial in the upcoming fights. As the hound circles back again, I light up my sword with flames but let the hound in close and allow it to latch onto my arm, flailing in the air as if it was unexpected. In the same moment, I ignite my left arm with fire magic and blow the beast that's latched on to pieces. Congratulations! 1.11x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 5 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 0.55 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 3 Fight Victory. Reward: 30 silver credits. 0.3 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance: 6.3150 gold. Use absorption. MCP: 3601. Yes. No. Use absorption. Skill Bloodlust. Upgrade, legendary grade. Yes. No. The crowd explodes into cheers as the remains of the beast hit the mana-shielded barrier of the arena along with my eruption of flames. I stay on the ground for a moment, excitedly choosing yes to the Bloodlust upgrade and checking my status while using self-regeneration on my arm beneath my cloak. In the meantime, the announcer hypes up the crowd for the next round, allowing me to take my 5 minutes of rest. Standing to my feet, I grip my sword and give the go-ahead. Next up, we have a special monster for you all in the 4th stage. As you all know, this is the round that separates the regular fighters from the fighters that face off in the main nightly events. To face the Flame Emperor, we found a formidable opponent known for taking out fighters well above its level 365 rating. It's time to place your bets on the Mutant High Orc matchup. A sword-wielding monster with a fire aspect. The reaction from the crowd is mixed. Some describe the power of my fire, while others point out the fact I was taken off guard by a mere level 247 Bloodhound. I smirk inwardly while placing a 6 gold bet for myself to win at a 1.37x payout multiplier. Once the High Orc comes into the ring, I can feel the heat coming off of it immediately. The beast runs at me, wearing silver armor head to toe, wielding a long shimmering sword with golden accents, and bursting with flames out of the armor's holes. It has a regular fire combat magic skill along with swordsmanship skill. The same twinkle in my eyes from the previous round comes back to me, and I decide to put on a show for the crowd yet again. Even though my movements are clearly much more crisp and practiced, to the naked eye of a fighter below level 300, it all looks the same. This is most of the audience. As long as I get hit with fire and take longer than a few seconds to defeat the monster that's attacking me, to the crowd, it means I'm having trouble. Come at me. It looks like you're going to need to give me a hard time. I whisper under my breath while blocking a hit from its long silver sword and taking a fire blast from it head-on without even attempting to move away. My gear and natural fire resistance are so strong, it just feels like a warm breeze passing by to me. However, to the crowd, it looks like I'm being burned alive. The erupting cheers are ear-shattering. Through all the noise, there's one thing on my mind that is crystal clear. I'll be taking this audience for every bronze, silver, and gold coin they have to spare. Chapter 350. The plumes of fire clear, and I jump backward, igniting myself with my own flames to play the part. It's a cool, flashy power-up to hype the crowd, but also shows that I'm trying to mitigate the supposedly brutal attack that I just took head-on. For the fun of it, now that I have a natural veil of dark red flames surrounding my body, I activate my newest Bloodlust skill to see what improvements going from no grade to legendary grade provide. The aura that envelopes me is much darker red than the usual Bloodlust buff, more so matching the darkness of my flames now. The surge of energy is not what I was expecting to feel at all either. The no-grade Bloodlust skill used to give a 50% buff to speed, agility, and mental strength. Now when I look down to check my status, it says 125% buff on each of these options and a 50% natural perception buff is added as well. I instantly feel like I just activated my final breath skill or my Red Hydra's rage buff, but immediately decide to turn it off because, in a matter of seconds, my MP bar almost falls down to half. It is definitely an intense boost, but the cost is significant too. This arena isn't the place to test its potential. I get up close to the high orc by outpacing its movements and coming around to place a hand on its back. In the same manner it attacked me, I plunder all of its MP to bring me nearly back up to full while blasting a wave of fire through its body and sending it flying backward in a similar fashion to the attack it just threw. Moments before its life force hits zero, I stop my attack and let the high orc come running back at me while letting out a roar of pain and frustration. In seconds, the intensity of my flames will burn it to ashes, but I want to have a final clash to put on a show for the crowd. As our blades clang again, each of us releases a wave of flames at each other and I jump back for dramatic effect as the orc is incinerated in the final blast. I fall backward and let the force of my own attack throw me to the floor, leaving my own flames burning on my body for a matter of seconds before putting them out. Congratulations! 1.37x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 6 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 2.22 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 4 fight victory. Reward: 17.8950 gold credits. 17.8950 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance: 26.4300 gold. Use absorption. MCP: 12,966. Yes. No. Use absorption. Skill swordsmanship. Upgrade, legendary grade. Yes. No. I choose yes on both upgrading my swordsmanship, and my questions about upgrading my fire magic skill are answered too. The advanced version of this skill is as high as legendary grade absorption will upgrade it to, for now. The new skill upgrade is great, but the fact that I just made over 20 gold profit in a single match is the more exciting part of this string of notifications. It looks like the crowd agrees with me too as they shake the arena, and the announcer continues to yell out in an excited tone as I give him the thumbs up to move on to the next round. Can you believe it? The Flame Emperor has taken a hit at point-blank range and retaliated back to finish off the high orc with a taste of its own medicine. That begs the question, will he be able to defeat the level 481 Volcanic Salamander King? It's not every day we get a fire wielder in the ring, so we're saving opponents like this for the special occasion. As the announcer goes on, I realize the fights being sent to me are not random. Thinking back even further, every fight in the ring today has been very selective. Sia had tough fights against opponents in the later rounds she had no hope of beating to set a standard for how tough each event would be. Max got opponents he has a defensive edge against monsters he could barely beat. Ace had only sword wielders to battle in the later rounds, and now I'm getting solely fire element fights. Someone is pulling the strings and clearly not randomizing these monsters, but I'm not complaining. Finish your bets up soon. The match is about to begin in 10, 9. I lock in a 25 gold bet at a 1.59x multiplier. I'm still the crowd favorite, but the odds are beginning to shift against me. This is good. It's exactly what I want to happen. During this next fight, I need to make sure it looks like nothing close to an easy win. 2, 1, 0. A flash of white light brings the crimson-scaled beast into the ring. Its body is dripping with lava and looks exactly the way it did when I faced the same type of creature in a dungeon break way off in the desert of Sector 4. It has advanced fire magic and a body hardening skill. 2 skills I myself already have at their maxed out ranks, so this fight will be purely for the fun of it and putting on a convincing performance for the crowd. This may be the first monster strong enough to take hits from my attacks if I go easy on it. That will add to a much more convincing display. With a smirk on my face, I run forward with my sword ablaze and my fire magic enveloping the red cloak. Its body glows orange, red, and yellow, producing more molten stone as I charge forward to throw down a low-density attack at its scaled armor. Legendary swordsmanship is automatically activated as I swing downward, making the movement feel even more precise and natural. However, this opponent isn't a weapon wielder, so I won't be able to test its full range of possibilities until another fight. The instant my blade makes contact, I feel its scales beginning to crumble and its insides start to burn. I let up on my downward motion, and soon see its tail coming toward me. Everything looks like it's moving in slow motion, but I pretend not to see the tail coming and let it hit me and send me flying toward the arena's mana-shielded dome. I cover my side with a thin layer of mana before making impact. Once I do, all of the shielding I created explodes in a loud metallic twang, sending me flying toward the arena floor twice as fast as I was moving upward at the wall. I managed to turn my body to land on my feet, but the ground beneath me cracks, and a small crater forms. The audience erupts into cheers of madness. They all remember the fight with Max and the Lizard Archer earlier, and what's happening right now looks to be a repeat. The Salamander King takes the time I was in the air to its advantage to come down on me, spewing molten rock. I jump out of the way just in time and land another low-powered attack on the monster scales, making a small mark to show the crowd I'm not entirely powerless. However, I let the Salamander throw me around the ring a few more times to make a point. I land more small hits on it while plundering just enough MP to refill my bar, and using my lifesteal skill to drain the monster's HP at an even faster rate than doing physical damage. This restores my own health bar every time I lose a few points from bouncing off the mana barrier above the ring. The crowd goes crazy, and the announcer begins describing the fight play-by-play to those who are watching as I narrowly avoid death over and over just to land small hits each time. He's done it again. The 9th exchange between the Flame Emperor and the Salamander King. I can't believe it. Another escape from near elimination just to land a hit. I have to give it to our newest fighter. He's not one to give up easily. Half a dozen exchanges go by, and the arena itself is full of molten rock and covered in craters. In the eyes of the crowd, it's a miracle I'm still breathing. But there's one thing that is starting to become clear. He's really going to do it. There's no way. The Salamander King's movements are really slowing down. After excess MP and HP drainage to restore my own, and many tough hits through the monster's scales, the beast in the ring naturally begins to slow down. I start landing 2 to 3 hits each exchange instead of 1, and, in a matter of minutes, I release a final blow to the back of the Salamander's head with a fireball to top it all off. He's done it. The winner of Stage 5 is the one and only Flame Emperor. The screams of excitement and cheers, along with anger and frustration, fill the air, and I fall to my knees to play the part with my head down. It may look like I'm out of breath and trying to stay conscious after such a strenuous battle, but in reality, my eyes are glued to the notifications popping up over my wristband. Congratulations! 1.59x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 25 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 14.75 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 5 fight victory. Reward, 38.1050 gold credits. 38.1050 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance, 79.2850 gold. Use absorption, MCP, 24,178. Yes. No. The smile across my face grows wider and wider as I see over 50 gold coins enter my credit account. I whisper under my breath. Now it's time to get serious and go all in. Chapter 351. To make the previous match even more convincing, I stand up and start walking with a limp before facing the crowd again and placing a thumb in the air to begin the next match. The announcer yells in an excited tone. That's what we like to see. At this rate, the Flame Emperor could actually do it. He could defeat the 6th stage monster and become a legacy fighter on his first time in the ring. The crowd erupts with cheers again, but I don't like how positively they're taking things. I want them to have no confidence I can defeat the next opponent that is teleported in. At this thought, I cough and drop to my knees, holding my chest and let my sword hit the ground with a clang. This makes the announcer pause, and the crowd begins to whisper and talk amongst themselves. Still, I raise a thumb and slowly get back up to my feet while using my sword as a crutch. My wristband clearly states that I'm still at 100% of max HP, but I cover it up underneath my red cloak in case anyone in the audience has extra keen eyes. Unlike them, the announcer is not worried at all. His voice still rings out as enthusiastic as ever. Here in the Valor City Fight Arena, we don't hold back. Even if you're injured from the past stage, we won't go easy on you. Everyone place your bets. The Flame Emperor will be facing a level 599 Red Ogre Tyrant in the Stage 6 matchup. My eyes widen at the announcement. The crowd goes silent too. My opponent in this next round is going to be the maximum level available for a stage this high. I don't know who is choosing these opponents behind the scenes, but it's like they read my mind. This is exactly what I wanted to hear. After the awkward moment of silence, the crowd begins to cheer again and rumble the stands around the arena and even slightly shake the floor itself. The odds that pop up on my wristband make me smile inwardly, but I don't dare show even a little bit of emotion before the match begins. For the first time in the event tonight, the betting odds are stacked against me. I stare down at the numbers and it says 2.67x for a bet on myself, and it keeps on rising. I make a slow walk around the ring, just to make sure everyone can see the sorry shape I'm in, and the crowd's confidence toward me as the potential winner in this fight lessens more and more. The odds raise past 3.00x and I hear a few people yell out in the front rows down to me. Forfeit while you still have your dignity. This will be the easiest money I've ever made. I'm going all in on the Red Ogre. Look at him. He can barely stand. That last battle was all luck. There's no way he becomes a legacy fighter with moves like that. The Red Ogre Tyrant is more powerful than any normal Red Ogre. He doesn't stand a chance. Even Ace lost to one of these last week. My bet is on him losing too. I walk back to the center of the ring after my full lap and the announcer starts counting down for the fight to start. The match will begin shortly. Get ready in 10, 9, 8. More and more bets are placed and I peek at my watch to see the odds against me rise to 4.29x. 7, 6, 5. I enter 75 gold into the betting notification and wait longer for every last bet to be placed. The odds keep rising, and I want to lock in my bet at the highest payout I possibly can. This opponent is going to be a higher level than me, but I've faced much more difficult monsters in battle before. I may have to pull out some more tricks, but I'm confident in my abilities to defeat it. 4, 3, 2. The odds that I'll win have fallen so low that the payout on me is now at 5.41x. I lock it in, draining most of my credit wallet, then finally standing up straight with a wide grin as my bet is now set in stone. 1, 0. Let the Stage 6 match begin. A blinding light transports an enormous Red Ogre Tyrant into the ring. It looks very similar to the Red Ogres in the previous matches I saw, but this one is much more muscular with crimson veins bulging out from its silver armor. The beast lets out a roar as it begins to glow golden the moment it steps forward and swings a massive metal mace in the air. A thick chain that looks like it would hold an anchor to the seafloor connects a spiked metal ball as it swings it above its head. The sharp eyes of the beast lock onto me in an instant as I approach and activate my own extreme strength and berserker skills as well. As it swings the mace, a glimmer of pink mana starts to cover the entire weapon, and its two skills show up in my mind's eye. Extreme Strength, Legendary Grade, Combat Magic, Advanced Mana Manipulation. My gaze falls down to its ranked-up buff too. Ogre Tyrant's Dominance. It storms forward with incredible speed, and I jump out of the way using my full strength and speed to dodge. No more playing around. This fight is for real. I use wind magic to propel my movements away from the golden glowing beast and turn back to release a mana blade imbued with fire from my sword at point-blank range at the ogre's back. The moment it's released, the instincts of the beast kick in, and it senses the shift in mana density that fills the air. Its shielded spiked mace spins back around to collide with the incoming attack, and an explosion of mana and flames instantly fills the entire dome. I activate my all-seeing eye, and sense the creature not taking a moment of rest. Through the chaos of the blast, it uses the plumes of flames as a smokescreen and runs at me to throw another hit. I swing my blade up to collide with its spiked mace. The physical weapons don't collide, but the dense layers of shielding around them do. Another mana-on-mana eruption blasts both of us backward, sending the ogre and myself flying into the dome's mana shielding, then into the floor below with two loud bangs. However, we got much closer this time around. Our energies colliding is close enough range for me to use my MP plundering skill along with lifesteal to take as much MP and HP as I can before we're both sent flying to opposite sides of the ring. The fire from our last attacks dissipates, and the audience can clearly see the next exchange. Just like before, the battle-hungry monster doesn't take a moment of rest. Neither do I. We both run forward and clash again. I can feel an invisible subconscious pull much stronger than normal guiding my sword with precision. It's the legendary swordsmanship skill at work, but the movements that enter my mind like instinct are very different than my normal fighting style. I suppress the urge to try anything too new and risky right now. At this point in the battle, it's best I stick to what I know and observe my opponent. The speeds we're fighting at, and the precision of each hit is far greater than what I'd assume most of the audience has the ability to perceive. But if there are any highly skilled fighters or ex-hunters in the crowd, they'd see us both collide in mid-air fighting with waves of mana, trying to cut through the other's defenses while regenerating our own before being thrown back from the excess energy. My flaming sword covered in layers of pink mana shielding collide with the shielding that surrounds its mace. We both have a mana manipulation skill, so the shielding being used is just being constantly regenerated by the mana within our bodies. The real test of strength will be who runs out of MP first. Pure level numbers suggest this ogre has higher MP stores than me, but each exchange we share drains its own stores and adds them to mine. Although it looks like an even match, it's really a matter of time before the tyrant runs out of MP and I can send a fatal attack that blasts through its weakened shielding. Another 4 exchanges pass, and just like the salamander in the previous round, I start to sense its movements slow. At this point, the crowd realizes what's going on to an extent too. A few angry voices start to stand out to me in between the next few attacks the ogre and I send at each other. He was strong all along? Was this guy playing us for our money? There's no way. He set us up. Could the ogre tyrant really lose? Boo! Half a dozen more exchanges pass and the audience has resorted to throwing things down at the ring. The mana shielding blocks anything from actually flying in, but the sounds of random items hitting the dome make me smirk. In the meantime, I can tell the red ogre tyrant is frustrated out of its mind as it roars louder and louder after every exchange we have. Its eyes start to shift from the jet black they started at to now a crimson glow. After our 15th collision, I'm almost positive I've stolen over half of its HP and MP. It has noticed and is making its move. The red glow that has slowly grown in its eyes begins to spread into the golden shimmer of its extreme strength skill. A shimmering red wave of energy surrounds its body, and I feel a shockwave vibrate through the arena floor. The air pressure shifts, and I feel most of the ambient mana from our previous clashes begin to gravitate toward the ogre at the opposite side of the ring. I use my own manipulation skill to attempt bringing it back my way, but the force at which it's being pulled in at the monster is significantly stronger than before. Even the dome around the ring starts to vibrate. It hums loudly as it tries to stay in place, but the new buff my opponent is using seems to be pulling in every spare mana particle in the area. This feels extremely dangerous. Not only for me, but nearby audience members too if this monster is doing what I think it is. It's using its ranked-up buff as a last-ditch effort. Ogre Tyrant's dominance is being activated. Chapter 352. The red Ogre Tyrant's golden veil of energy starts to shift to red as its rank-up buff activates. The dome that surrounds us, protecting the audience outside the fight ring, is now rippling and bending toward the monster on the far side of the arena. I'm sure they fight monsters of this caliber very often, but none of the past monsters could have had a buff and skill combination like this. With the name Ogre Tyrant's dominance, and the absorption of MP it's taking in from all directions, I can only assume this rank-up perk allows the monster to take superior control over all of the mana in the nearby atmosphere. Along with its only combat skill being advanced mana manipulation, my confidence in the barrier overhead to keep our dangerous attacks contained is dwindling. It runs forward at me with its spiked mace swinging in the air once again, this time around layered in a much thicker mana shielding, and I can tell its MP bar has raised far past full. The monster is wielding more energy than it did at the start of the match. I can sense mana seeping out from the shielding above our heads, aiding its next attack. Still, I grit my teeth and counter, activating the newly ranked-up legendary Bloodlust skill in small bursts to increase my speed and magic power. It burns through a lot of MP to use this buff now, but with the massive cloud of mana swirling around my opponent, the moment I get in close I can easily restore myself to full. As we're about to clash, I sense my swordsmanship skill begin to activate, instinctually pointing me to swing in a different direction than I first planned to. I hesitate and the feeling goes away. Our shielded weapons collided and were both blasted backward to opposite sides of the arena. Even with my new buff activated, I wasn't able to overpower this tyrant. Each time we collide, our shielding is nearly equal in density and strength, but the weight and power of its weapon is intense. The precision at which it swings won't allow me to get a proper hit in. Getting hit by that mace may mean the end for me. However, if I can get past it and land a good hit on the ogre, it would mean the end for this beast as well. Once I stand up off the ground, my mind races over the odd sensation I felt before our attacks met. It was like a subconscious pull, leading me to use my blade in a much different way than a regular straight-on attack. A roar echoes out through the ring again as the ogre charges at me. I run forward too, activating my bloodlust buff again, and hoping that feeling from my swordsmanship skill comes back. At this rate, I need to switch things up. Just colliding over and over, stealing a few HP every attack won't cut it. The shielding in the arena may give out before I can finish this monster off. As we're about to collide again, I feel the same pull, and decide to give in to it and let my instincts completely guide my blade. I change directions in midair with an air step, and a faint silver line that looks like a nearly invisible spider's thread shows up in my mind's eye, but projects itself into reality. Almost like the system text has come to life and is showing me a holographic path to follow with the tip of my blade. It twists and curves, but I shut my mind off and follow. With every air step and curving swing of my sword, I narrowly miss the fast-spinning mace that constantly soars toward me. Even so, the end of the thread is in sight, and it ends right on the ogre's neck. The closer the thread gets to my opponent, the more it changes color. At the tip of my sword it shimmers silver and glows almost white, but near the monster's vital point the thread is stained blood red. I twist my body out of the way of the beast and come within a 5-meter range of the end of the thread. The creature's mace is all the way on the monster's side of its body. The world feels as if it's slowed down, and everything except the thread and the monster that is my target has been muffled out and faded from existence. My sword comes down with all my might in a graceful swing, and I slice through the creature's mana shielding along with a large layer of flesh. An eruption of mana explosion, crimson blood, and dark flames sends both of us flying backward, and reality creeps back into my senses all around me as I hit the back of the mana dome. The mixture of cheers and boos fills my ears, but it doesn't matter to me at all. I raise my sword in the air and light it on fire, letting out a laugh as the injured monster starts to run back at me filled with rage. I grip my blade with both hands and smirk. To anyone in the crowd that could follow my movements before, they're already aware of the fact that I can use air magic, so there's no reason not to show a bit more of my hand. As I run closer, the instinctive feeling begins to grow more and more, but I activate my earth magic first to give myself an additional edge. With a simple thought, the ground beneath the ogre turns to liquid stone and begins slowing its footsteps. Every meter closer it travels, the more rocks form around its ankles and shins. Once it's close enough, the creature has to physically break free from the mounds of rocks on its legs every step. I jump in the air and search for the thread. Breathing in and out, the world around me disappears again, leaving just the shimmering silver line leading to the monster's neck, and the slow-motion mace spinning around in the air with a clear path before me, making it easy to dodge. In a graceful, fluid movement, taking 5 air steps in total, I get in close and release another full-powered slash, slicing through the excess mana shielding around its neck, and also cracking the top portion of its chest plate, sending it flying backward, now dripping blood all over its silver armor. This time, mana, rock, and flames erupt into the air, but I still feel its life force pulsing strong. Once the debris begins to clear, the red glow around its body becomes larger and larger. Instead of running at me, it backs up and places its free hand against the shielding dome. The energy starts to ripple and vibrate more than ever before. The dome's inner surface looks like a thin layer of water being bounced around by the vibrating frequency of a powerful music-playing device. The more volatile the shielding around the ring becomes, the more the red aura around the creature grows. The boos in the crowd against me begin to turn into whispers and frightened screams as people soon realize what's going on. I run forward, gripping my blade with one thing on my mind: finishing this battle once and for all. I decide not to hold back one bit. If this monster manages to take out the shielding around the ring, there will be many more problems than one. The audience wouldn't be safe. They may send in extra guards to subjugate the beast, and I wouldn't get my level-ups or skill upgrades. And worst of all, the bets could be off. My chance to 5x my money and fool the crowd would have all been for nothing. I need to kill this monster now. Without hesitating, I activate every single skill that will allow me to get closer to the beast as fast as possible, and keep it stuck in place to land a finishing move without any interference before any announcements can be made. With my wind magic and buffs on full blast, propelling me forward, and earth magic surrounding the creature at the far side of the ring, the distance between us is negated in milliseconds. Its legs are held in place by rock reinforced by telekinesis, while waves of intense intimidation are sent straight into its psyche. Meanwhile, my blade is being charged up to its maximum potential, and the world around me is fading away as a single shimmering crimson line of mana leads to the same unguarded blind spot on the ogre's neck. I jump upward and swing the blade with unmatched strength and precision. The head of the red ogre tyrant is sliced clean from its body and begins spinning high into the air before anyone in the audience can even blink. Chapter 353. The edge of my blade shortens the distance between the deep crimson red thread and the neck of the monster, threatening the lives of everyone in this arena. In an instant, using over 1000 MP in a single strike, I release a mana blade while making direct contact with the monster's neck, and its head is sliced clean off in an instant. My boosted perception is so much greater than the world around me that even as the beast's head slowly spins in the air disconnected from its body, the wide eyes and mixed reaction from the crowd seem so slow that they're not even moving. The severed head collides with the rippling mana shielding dome and instantly splatters into indistinguishable parts. Congratulations! 5.41x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 75 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 330.75 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 6 fight victory. Reward: 68.4450 gold credits. 68.4450 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance: 4.784800 platinum. Level up. Level up. Level up. Level up. Use absorption. MCP: 1034, 980. Yes. No. Use absorption. Skill: extreme strength. Upgrade: legendary grade. Yes. No. The moment the ogre tyrant's head leaves its body, the red aura that fills almost half the rings dissipates in an instant. However, the vibrating and churning mana shielding that makes up the arena's dome gets more and more violent following the explosion of the ogre's head. I jump back and land on the floor, choosing yes to all the notification options that pop up, and excitedly look at my wristband as it shifts in color from golden to a shimmering platinum glow. My eyes dart around the ring at the dome. I assumed it would calm down the moment the ogre's skill dissipated, but the turbulent nature only grows worse as the seconds pass and the crowd erupts into cheers, yells of anger, boos, and frightened screams. For flashes of white light come into my peripheral vision for a fraction of a second, and knights in black armor teleport in on opposite sides of the inside of the dome. I turn my head to try and scan one with my appraisal skill as they all place their armored hands on the vibrating shielding. Wisps of gray and white energy come out of their gauntlets, and the violent, unstable nature of the ring ceases, leaving the stable humming mana shielding in its original form. The four of them disappear along with the corpse of the monster I defeated before I can even blink again. The only reading I manage to see from one of them leaves my mouth wide open underneath my mask in a state of confusion. LV? Access denied. Active items. Here? Access denied. Active skills. Access denied. Buffs. Access denied. These readings look eerily similar to the odd black armor of the Sector 2 leader I defeated not so long ago. The announcer finally speaks up, quieting the crowd down. At this disturbance, my natural perceptions of time begin to go back to normal. We have a winner, the Flame Emperor. Give it up for our newest legacy fighter. Can you believe it? From an unknown name to a man that beat all the odds. What do you say? Will you be taking on the 7th stage? I'm in quite the daze after what I just witnessed, but still slowly put a thumb in the air. Almost all my HP and MP were restored after that final blow using plunder on the body and excess energy that escaped from the shielding in the ring. Although it wasn't a walk in the park, I was far from being in real danger while facing that monster. If anything, the audience was in more trouble than me. It seems the announcer isn't going to bring attention to this fact at all. They did have safeguards in place just in case any events like this were to happen. The sounds of the crowd aren't the excited screams that were rattling the stadium earlier, but the quick thinking of the announcer changes their minds. You all know we have only had one contestant get anywhere close to beating the Stage 7 ghoul in years. This is another major step up from the Stage 6 fights. Even if the Flame Emperor finally showed you all his full strength, we know that's part of the fight game. You can't hate the player. The angry words and whispers start to change their tone, and I hear a few members of the crowd speak up. Instead of all hatred, I'm beginning to get mixed reviews. He's right. The rules of the arena never said any bets were fair. No kidding, I'm glad I took the risk. I can't believe it. I bet on him as a joke and just 5x'd my money. I lost everything. I hate the Flame Emperor. He'll get what's coming to him in this next round. You're right. Monk is the only one I've seen beat that ghoul monster in the 7th stage, and I've been coming to this arena for years now. There's something really off about those monsters. Pure magic power, or even superior skill never seems to be enough to kill them. I bet my whole wallet on that last round. I'll be kicked out of the city if I'm still here at midnight. Ha! Then you better leave now. This is a gambling area. What do you expect? Never bet what you can't afford to lose. By the time the announcer speaks up again, all hatred has left the crowd's mind, and they're all fully consumed with the next round. Everyone, place your bets on the next Stage 7 matchup of the night. The Flame Emperor will be facing off against a level 689 mutant ghoul. The crowd completely flips tones again, as the betting odds pop up in front of their faces and they're consumed with greed. I take my slow lap around the ring as the announcer continues on and on, hyping up the fight more. This time around, I'm more confused at what the purpose of this arena really is. The man at the registration desk did say it's one of the main income streams of the city, along with an auction hall in the Platinum District. But after that display of power from what I can only assume is the Royal Guards, something isn't adding up. Why do they really have a fight arena in this city? And where are they getting all the incredibly high-level monsters to teleport in like it's easy? Who are the legacy fighters? Why does no one seem to care about anyone's true identity here? And why did my teammates agree to come to this city in the first place? For some reason, all these questions start to hit me at once as the announcer counts down the betting timer as the show is about to begin again. 10, 9, 8. I take a deep breath in and out, then shake my head while staring straight ahead to where my opponent will be standing next. Then, look down at my wristband and see the odds for me to win are still stacked against me, but much less so than the round before. People seem to be more confident in my abilities after that last display of strength. But the prestige of the final event in the eyes of the crowd is still a very tough challenge. The payout on me winning is 2.09x. This will most likely be my last event in the ring. A level 689 is far above my own level, but it's still within reach of an opponent I can potentially defeat. I've taken on a demon of a similar level, and a demonic minotaur recently of strength that may match it. 7, 6, 5. I'm gonna have to plan for this to be my last event. I need 10 platinum coins to make it into the final gate, so it's all or nothing right now. 4, 3, 2. The payout raises to a 2.51x multiplier and I bet 400 gold credits, equal to 4 platinum coins on myself to win. 1-0. Let the Stage 7 match begin. Chapter 354. As the announcer's words fade away, I grip my blade and get ready for the real fight to begin. From my understanding of the crowd's reaction and the words echoing through the arena, close to no one is capable of defeating this ghoul monster. The fighter known as Monk is an anomaly to this rule. Even with the display of strength I showed in the round before, defeating a monster at the peak of Stage 6, the crowd is confident enough to place their bets against me still. I showed nearly all my skills in the last event. My hopes are that I'll be proving them wrong once again. I have a few more tricks up my sleeve, and I may have to use them all in this next upcoming fight. The transfer magic lights up a small portion of the arena near the backside where the opponents are usually spawned in. A familiar-looking pale-skinned figure appears. With orange glowing eyes and rotting yellow teeth, a mutant ghoul locks its gaze on me in fractions of a second. Its height is similar to mine, possibly half a meter taller than me at most. This variant of mutant ghoul only carries one long silver sword, and its body is barely covered in clothing. They're more like rags that are held on by threads. Its eyes pulse brighter. Then the beast runs forward at me without making a sound. I activate all my buffs to try and scan the creature for any extra information while lighting my sword on fire and positioning myself for a counter. The status throws me for a loop when it shows up in my mind's eye. LV 689. Active items. Enchanted long sword plus 200% strength plus 200% speed plus 200% agility. Active skills. None. Buffs. Curse Mark of the Lich King. All it has to its name is a single sword and a mysterious curse in its buff slot. To my surprise, there aren't any active skills either. Something is very off about all of this. Nevertheless, I hold my sword up to position myself for a block to test the monster's strength. It falls for the bait without hesitation for a moment, and there is a loud clang that echoes out in the arena. It's the sound of pure metal on metal, a noise I haven't heard in quite a while. The moment its sword touches my mana shielding barrier, an orange glow surrounds its own, and the two barriers of energy pass right by each other without reacting at all. The swords meet, and our strength is nearly even. The oddity of the creature just slipping through my defenses without any resistance throws me off guard, and I take a step back, but soon decide to activate my Bloodlust and newly upgraded extreme strength skill to counter before it pulls any other moves on me. The moment the crimson and gold lights begin to shimmer around my body, I feel MP being burned at an immense rate. The buff percentage rises on my extreme strength skill. Instead of just a 50% boost at its normal no-grade ranking, it's risen to 125% at legendary grade and shimmers so bright golden white it almost looks platinum. It's worth the burned MP. I lunge forward and swing my blade across my body to propel the ghoul away from me, air-stepping back and deactivating my buffs to reassess my situation. At the same time, I try to use my Plunderer skill to siphon some MP off my opponent to restore the mana used in my buffs and clash, also attempting a minor lifesteal to weaken it as much as I can from a distance, but my heart skips a beat at what I soon realize. No mana, and no health points either. The ghoul in front of me doesn't have a drop of MP in its body, despite the glowing orange aura that now covers its sword, arms, and is slowly expanding to engulf its entire body. It also has no HP to be stolen either. This monster may have unfathomable defenses, or some way of masking its inner mana control, but all my senses are pointing to something else. Its buff, the Curse Mark of the Lich King. I have keener senses than any hunter or monster within hundreds of levels. There's no way I could visibly see an energy source and not be able to sense any of the mana flowing through it. Not even my all-seeing eye can pick up the presence of even a bit of flowing energy. The only reasonable explanation in my mind is its buff giving it some type of power source that isn't mana. It's using energy I'm unable to manipulate. It runs forward and we clash again. The sound of metal on metal echoes, But this time I use my buffs much more conservatively while straining my senses to attempt to find any more clues. 3 more equally powered exchanges take place, and already over 30% of my mana is used up and I'm as clueless as I was when I started examining the ghoul. This next attack, I'm going in for some blood. As much as I want to understand what makes this creature tick, winning the battle is much more important right now. Instead of the equal exchanges we had earlier, I start charging my footsteps with wind magic and strategically activate my buffs as I move and turn to use them as efficiently as possible without draining massive amounts of MP and get in line for my swordsmanship skill to slowly activate. As my flaming blade gets closer and I run around the ghoul in circles, dodging its blade, the thread finally begins to form in my mind's eye, attaching the tip of my sword to the ghoul's midsection in a winding shimmering line. I take a deep breath and begin to follow the path. After half a dozen sweeping motions, I lunge in close after multiple near misses from its own sword before mine makes contact with its upper torso. The searing sound of my fire magic melting its flesh and tearing the monster clean in half lasts only for a fraction of a second before I'm raising my blade in the air for the audience to react as 2 pieces of the ghoul rest behind me covered in flames. Cheers of joy and boos of hatred don't come as I expected at all. The crowd doesn't react at all actually, minus the few intoxicated bettors yelling out loud. Most of them just point straight at me with devious grins or wide-eyed in horror. It isn't until too late I realize they're not pointing at me. But at the 2 halves of the ghoul I just cut down crawling back together and reforming its burned tissue and skin in the areas where it was sliced. The orange glow that surrounds its body and now pours from its gaze grows brighter and brighter as my confusion grows at the same rate. I turn to the monster, and my conclusion that its buff is giving it power becomes my number 1 theory. The only time I saw its kind defeated was Monk beating it down with nothing but his fists. However, I never saw that man use a hint of mana either. One thing I do know, by the end of this fight, I'll either be broke and out of luck, or know exactly how the arena champ defeated a nearly level 700 creature without a hint of magic power. Chapter 355. A monster with no MP and no HP. It can survive my advanced fire magic, and also can reform and regenerate without any skills or extra visual energy exertion whatsoever. The only clue I have of how to defeat this thing is the single encounter I witnessed of Monk punching the ghoul to death. Every time his fist would impact the monster's body, I clearly remember its eyes glowing brighter for a fraction of a second, then the glow of the entire beast becoming dimmer every time. Whatever this life force or energy is, most likely provided by its curse, it needs to be extracted from its body slowly, and the monster will die once sucked dry. The real question now is, how? I'll have to figure this out fast. The ghoul comes running at me again without a moment of rest with its silver blade glimmering orange, and leaving a trail of its residue behind. I'm struck with a moment of clarity as I use my strength buff to counter the incoming strike of the ghoul and send it flying back again. The faint cloud of orange mist that trails behind it looks eerily familiar, and things are beginning to add up. Not completely, but enough for me to comprehend what's going on to a certain extent. Soul energy. I'm just unsure how and why this works, but there's a high chance I'm dealing with the soul energy of a Lich King. Its orange energy reacts to the air just like the red aura of the Hydra's soul energy I'm able to use. Our weapons clang against each other again and again, and I begin going down my list of skills one by one to see if anything works other than the one thing I'm hoping I don't have to do. After trying to intimidate, plunder MP, lifesteal HP, equivalent exchange health, and even attempt to use telepathy, nothing seems to be getting through to this mindless battle machine and my MP falls down to about half as I sporadically use my buffs to keep up with the monster. It doesn't slow down at all. The movements of the ghoul are as precise and clean as the moment it was transported into the ring. Even after slicing the ghoul in half for more times, the crowd only gets more excited every time it gets back up. The announcer begins to egg them on to start getting rowdy. After the last match of manipulation, the crowd deserves to have a nice win. However, my mind is running at 1,000,000 beats per minute trying to figure out a way to injure this monster or replicate the way Monk drained its life force. Even if I had demonic energy on hand, I found that it doesn't even react with soul energy either. The only way I'm going to be able to fight on equal grounds with this monster is to use my own soul energy buff. Its side effects are brutal, but weeks of work in gaining money are on the line here. If I lose now, showing off all these powers to tons of prying eyes would have been all for nothing. I'll do a single hit, put my all into it, keep it quick, and if this fails too, then there's nothing more to do tonight. I'll have to grind in the arena for a few more days regardless, or find another way to make money and get into the inner walls of the city. We run at each other once again, and moments before our blades collide, I activate my buff again. Red Hydra's Rage. The less time I'm activated in this state, the better off I'll be afterward. The shining orange eyes of the creature in front of me pulse brighter and brighter as a veil of red energy floods out from my chest and covers my entire body in an instant. My perception boosts drastically. My speed and power increase at an alarming rate, and my strength increase is so immense the ground beneath me starts crumbling away with every extra wind-imbued step forward I take. Our swords begin to collide, but the moment they do, the crimson energy surrounding my weapon finally reacts with the orange glow around the ghouls, disintegrating it on impact. A chain reaction like lighting fire to tissue paper travels down the contact point of our swords, and the Red Hydra's energy completely destroys the orange light that envelopes the ghoul in milliseconds. For the first time in our entire match, I hear the monster screech. Before it can retaliate, my sword slices straight through its own, sending the two silver halves of metal flying off in opposite directions. Right after this, the edge of my blade slices the ghoul in half once again. This time, obliterating every bit of orange energy and letting the two halves of the ghoul finally fall to the ground with lifeless eyes. I plant my feet and come to a halt on the other side of the ring, looking back and confirming the ghoul is really defeated before deactivating my buffs and all my skills. Congratulations! 2.51x bet 1 on Fighter. The Flame Emperor. Your 400 gold base bet has been returned to your account. 604 gold credits have been added to your account. Stage 7 fight victory. Reward: 171.3000 gold credits. 171.3000 gold credits have been added to your account. Total account balance: 12.5378 platinum. Level up, 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 level up. 114 out of 1,000 mutant ghouls defeated. As I deactivate my buff, the extreme fatigue hits me like a rock as usual, but I didn't have to use as much of my skills as I thought I would. The adverse effects aren't as extreme as after defeating the demonic Minotaur a few days back. A single night of rest will heal me up just fine. Even now, I'd be able to fight at least 80% of my fight capacity if needed. As the announcer yells out the final results of the match, I still manage to stay on my feet and stare down at the odd text displaying a number of ghouls defeated. It itches at the back of my mind, but I soon forget about it and become more consumed in the 10 levels gained and the fact that I reached my money goal in a single night. I'll be able to see my teammates very soon. The echoing voice of the announcer continues in the ring. The Flame Emperor. Will he be taking on the 8th stage of the arena tonight? I ponder to myself what kind of monstrosity they possibly have to offer that's between the levels 700 and 800, but before I even get to make a decision for myself, the same 4 Black Knights enter the ring, moving so fast without my buffs active I can't even see them. The only reason I realize they're here is because one stops no more than 5 meters in front of me and I see a pair of sharp eyes completely orange peer through the slit in the black helmet. I activate my all-seeing eye and buffs momentarily to see the other 3. An echoing noise similar to a telepathy skill sounds out in my head. Drop out of the match. The 7th stage is as far as you will go. Before I can even think to respond, the Black Knight is gone, and its other partners with it. I'm left in a state of awe and disbelief, wondering what that was about, and if Monk had the same thing happen to him each time he makes it to this point in the competition. I gulp and decide to take my winnings while I'm still up. Crossing my arms and shaking my head, I look exactly like Monk did declining the man's offer. Another pass on the unbeatable 8th stage of the arena. Maybe one day, we'll get to see our 2 new champions have at it and see who can defeat the 8th stage first. Next time dash. The announcer goes on, but I'm teleported back to the underground training room in the same moment. Facing me with looks of awe on their faces less than 10 meters from the teleportation platform are 3 out of the 4 legacy fighters. Max, Sia, and Ace don't say a word as I step back onto the white glossy mana-shielded floor. Status updates. Pre-arena. Status open. Name, J. Soj. Level, 562. HP, 2815/2815. MP, 2815/2815. Strength, 1491, plus 2803, plus 2058, plus 746, plus 1491, plus 746, plus 746, plus 2237. Speed, 1625, plus 975, plus 1625, plus 813, plus 1625, plus 813, plus 2438. Agility, 1733, plus 780, plus 1733, plus 2080, plus 867, plus 1733, plus 867, plus 2600. Defense, 1262, plus 1401, plus 1262, plus 1742, plus 631, plus 1262, plus 1893. Mental strength, 1787 plus 1072, plus 1787, plus 2716, plus 2109, plus 1430, plus 894, plus 1787, plus 894, plus 894, plus 2681. Skills. Absorption, legendary grade. Swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, legendary grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunderer, special grade, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, special grade, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, legendary grade, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, telepathy, legendary grade, final breath, special grade, combat magic, advanced earth summoning, combat magic, advanced mana manipulation, life steal, special grade, hibernation, special grade, combat magic, advanced demonic energy manipulation, combat magic, advanced ice summoning, body double, special grade, lie detector, legendary grade, hush, legendary grade, craftsmanship, mythic grade, items equipped, 12 slots available post-rank up, current items equipped, High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% mental strength, the Behemoth's Platinum Amulet, plus 111% defense, Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Platinum Ring of the Blue Ogre King, plus 100% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, advanced fire aspect, plus 188% strength, plus 152% mental strength, plus 100% defense, plus 100% speed, plus 100% agility. The Wind Tyrant's Dagger Set, Wind aspect, plus 137% strength, plus 120% agility, plus 118% mental strength. Berserker King's Armor Set, Blood Bonded, plus 138% defense. Salamander King's Cloak, plus 80% mental strength, plus 80% fire magic resistance. Greater Demon's Core, plus 50% all stats. Archdemon's Core, plus 100% all stats. Midnight Dagger. Buffs. Berserker plus 50% strength plus mental strength. Bloodlust plus 50% speed plus agility plus mental strength. Extreme Strength plus 50% strength. Final Breath plus 150% all stats. Exact percent will vary. Conditions va circumstances apply. Permanent buffs. Rising Emperor's Domain. Hidden Ability. Passive. Red Hydra's Rage. Soul Bond Attribute. Active. Post Arena. Status open. Name, J. Soj. Level, 576. HP, 2885/2885. MP, 2885/2885. Strength, 1526, plus 2899, plus 2090, plus 2091, plus 763, plus 1526, plus 763, plus 2289. Speed, 1665, plus 999, plus 1698, plus 833, plus 1665, plus 2081, plus 2498. Agility, 1773, plus 798, plus 1808, plus 2128, plus 887, plus 1773, plus 2216, plus 2660. Defense, 1295, plus 1437, plus 1308, plus 1800, plus 648, plus 1295, plus 1943. Mental Strength, 1822, plus 1093, plus 1822, plus 2806, plus 2150, plus 1458, plus 911, plus 1822, plus 911, plus 2278, plus 2278, plus 2733. Skills. Absorption, Legendary Grade. Swordsmanship, Legendary Grade. Combat Magic, Advanced Fire Summoning. Inspect, Special Grade. Enemy Detection. Body Hardening, Legendary Grade. Self-Regeneration, Special Grade. Spatial Magic, Item Storage. Plunderer, Special Grade. Telekinesis. Appraisal, Special Grade. Conceal, Special Grade. Berserker. Dungeon Walker, Special Grade. Intimidation. Dagger Mastery. Stealth, Legendary Grade. Bloodlust, Legendary Grade. Equivalent Exchange. Combat Magic, Wind Summoning. All-Seeing Eye. Extreme Strength, Legendary Grade. Dual Wielding, Special Grade. Telepathy, Legendary Grade. Final Breath, Special Grade. Combat Magic, Advanced Earth Summoning. Combat Magic, Advanced Mana Manipulation. Life Steal, Special Grade. Hibernation, Special Grade. Combat Magic, Advanced Demonic Energy Manipulation. Combat Magic, Advanced Ice Summoning. Body Double, Special Grade. Lie Detector, Legendary Grade. Hush, Legendary Grade. Craftsmanship, Mythic Grade. Items equipped. 12 slots available post-rank up. Current items equipped. High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% mental strength. The Behemoth's Platinum Amulet, plus 111% defense. Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% speed. Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility. plus 45% magic resistance. Platinum Ring of the Blue Ogre King, plus 100% mental strength. The Flame Emperor's Sword, advanced fire aspect, plus 190% strength, plus 154% mental strength, plus 101% defense, plus 102% speed, plus 102% agility. The Wind Tyrant's Dagger Set, Wind aspect, plus 137% strength, plus 120% agility, plus 118% mental strength. Berserker King's Armor Set, Blood Bonded, plus 139% defense. Salamander King's Cloak, plus 80% mental strength, plus 80% fire magic resistance. Greater Demon's Core, plus 50% all stats. Archdemon's Core, plus 100% all stats. Midnight Dagger. Buffs. Berserker plus 50% strength plus mental strength. Bloodlust plus 125% speed plus agility plus mental strength, plus 50% perception. Extreme Strength plus 125% strength. Final Breath plus 150% all stats. Exact percent will vary. Conditions vs circumstances apply. Permanent buffs. Rising Emperor's Domain. Hidden ability. Passive. Red Hydra's Rage. Soul Bond attribute. Active. Chapter 356. The first fighter to walk forward is the friendly face of the shield. Max. From being on the verge of death less than an hour ago and completely exhausted, it looks like they healed him up nicely. You're more of a fighter than I thought. Are you from the Royal Guard? A country leader in disguise or something? He lets out a laugh, but I don't respond. I'm very fatigued from the use of my Red Hydra's buff, and the majority of my energy is being used to scan the room and keep myself from limping or looking hurt in any way. Max stands next to Sia, and Ace is close behind them. Far off in the back of the room, Mr. Wright talks with a few of the newer fighters, logging in their fight records and signing them up for future events. Monk stands by in the back of the room silently staring at me but doesn't move forward. Sia speaks up as I take a step off the platform. You were really something out there. What's the trick? How'd you beat the 7th stage? Monk will never tell us how he kills those things. You have to let us in on the secret. I smirk inwardly beneath my mask, then finally respond. I'm not sure what the trick is either. I'd love to ask that man the same question. I get some confused looks back, but that doesn't stop Ace from walking forward and putting out a hand. I didn't know you were such a skilled swordsman. I apologize for not introducing myself earlier. I nod and shake his hand. No problem. Your speed and precision in the ring is some of the best sword technique I've seen myself as well. I'm impressed. We release our grip and Max interjects again. You know, we're going to get dinner in the Gold District tonight. I'm sure you won more than enough to afford a nice meal. He chuckles. Would you like to join us? I shrug and think to myself, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. Picking their brains and asking normal higher-tier city-goers about the inner workings of this place could be exactly what I need to do right now. Every one of us has a platinum wristband after tonight. Considering the amount of money-making potential in the ring and their fight records, I'd imagine they have well over 10 platinum too. However, no one wears the color of the royal coin. For some reason, no wristband changes color automatically like it did back when I hit over 100 gold. This and many other things confuse me about the city. Sure, a meal in the Gold District would be great. I'd love to join. We all begin to walk over to the back of the room together just as the newbie fighters leave and we're met by the man in the white suit. Each fighter lines up single file without him saying a word as they register and log their names for the next event scheduled tomorrow night. Once the single file line comes to me, he looks me in the eyes through my mask and speaks up. You put on quite the show there, kid. I'm glad I put you last. I knew you'd be a fun wild card performance. However, you certainly outperformed by expectations. His eyes look up and down a silver tablet in his hands before looking back up to me. Would you look at that, over 10 platinum in a single night. Not bad at all. So what do you say? Are you interested in signing up for tomorrow's showing too? I'm not so certain you'll be able to fool the regulars in the crowd for such incredible odds like you did tonight. but you can see the earnings will be considerable. I stay silent and think about the offer. Coming back into the arena again would be a money machine. Even if the odds are always in my favor, just on the percentage revenue share the event provides, I'll still be earning hundreds of gold per night. However, I need to stay focused on my mission to get to the center of the city. I'm sure there will still be a slot open for me in the morning, right? I'm going to need some time to think about if I'll be coming back. He lets out a light sigh, tapping the silver tablet and looking up at me with a curious gaze. Of course, come by any time. I'll be looking forward to seeing you fight in another late-night event. At this, he turns around and walks up the stairs, waving goodbye to everyone. As usual, wait a few moments before you all leave. You know better than I do how fans get sometimes. I'll open the Golden Gate entrance for any one of you that would like to use the stadium-only pathway. If I don't see you until a later date, I'd like to say thank you for visiting Valor City. The coattails of the white suit disappear up the steps as we're all left in silence together. Ace, Max, and Sia all start to slowly climb the stairs, but I turn my head around to still see Monk staring at me with a serious look on his face. It's not an intimidating gaze. It's more one of concern mixed with curiosity. Once he sees me turn to look at him again, he begins walking over to me in a slow and calculated fashion. The young bald man stops less than 2 meters from me and bows just like he did in the ring, then whispers under his breath in such a low tone that it's nearly impossible for me to hear him. I boost my senses momentarily to make sure I understand what he says. Thank you for the help. You have set them free. 114 down, 886 to go. Be careful who you side with. Even the strong can fall to its curse. This city is not what it seems. At this, the man comes up from his bow and walks up the steps past the 3 other legacy fighters patiently waiting for enough time to pass after following in Mr. Wright's footsteps. I myself am frozen in place trying to figure out what Monk possibly meant by those words. It's clearly a warning relating to the opponent I just faced. 114 ghouls defeated is the exact message I received for taking out one of the monsters, meaning he receives a similar message when defeating them too. The mention of a curse is related to the Lich King's curse on the monster status, but how would he possibly know this without some kind of appraisal skill or seeing the buff on their own status? I want to open my mouth to ask him more, but before I shake myself out from the slight daze, he's already left the ring and disappeared into the crowd. Letting out a confused sigh, I wait on the steps racking my brain for ideas before Max finally speaks to break the awkward silence. All right, that's enough waiting. Let's head to the Golden Gate and get some good food. I'm craving barbecue. How about all of you? There's 2 replies from Sia and Ace as they walk up the stairs to follow. Works for me. How about Elan's place? Can't go wrong there. They all nod in agreement. I follow close behind, pushing Monk's warning to the back of my mind and focus on extracting more information about the city itself during our upcoming dinner. Chapter 357. The stadium is almost empty now, and the shielding that lined the large dome in the middle of the arena is shut down and not buzzing with power at all anymore. We walk over to the far side of the ring together, near where the announcer's stand is, and just like on the far side of the ring, there's an exit back into the city. However, instead of regular stone arching doors that lead out to the Silver City section, there's a single golden gate with Mr. Wright standing nearby, typing in a code on a small tablet next to the door. All right, everyone just scan your wristbands here, and you're free to enter the Golden Gates. I'm sure you can all afford to stay out late, so there's no point in warning you it's getting close to midnight. Max is the first to scan his wristband. The golden door opens with a click, then Sia and Ace proceed to do the same before walking through. I bring my wrist to the silver tablet held by Mr. Wright and he gives me a nod as I follow them. Once the golden gate closes behind me, I murmur under my breath. That was surprisingly easy. At the same moment, I reach beneath my cloak and take the ring of concealment I bought from out of town and place it on a free finger. My appearance changes in an instant, and the dark black suit and formal wear cover my body. I even take off my mask but leave my concealment skill activated in order to shift my face to be a generic version of a citygoer in the area, but keep my black hair the same. Max turns back as we walk forward into the town. He pauses for half a second before replying, as this is the first time he's seen me without my gear on or a mask, but doesn't comment on it. He directly answers my question of why it's so easy to enter the inner walls of the city. Technically, we're all independent contractors. As fighters, our security clearance is much more lax than the average visitor. I nod to myself as this makes sense and take in the view of the shops and crowds of new people that go about their nightly shopping routines under the bright mana-imbued streetlights that illuminate the town in a soft yellow glow. It almost feels as if we're inside. The lights perfectly balance with the outside ambience, making it easy to forget that the dark sky and twinkling stars are above us. A light hum sounds in my ears as we walk closer to the shops, and I immediately see what's causing it. The sidewalks on both sides of the Middle Stone Road are moving on their own. Many businessmen, women in high-class dresses, and established hunters in phenomenal-looking gear stand on the moving walkways examining the items visible through crystal-clear glass windows in the shops. At closer inspection, I use my appraisal skill and see items in every single shop window that could easily be sold at the Solaran auction house as a top 10 item. Every store in this section of the town has small fortunes for sale and up for display. By the looks of many wristbands that glimmer gold and platinum as the 4 of US board one of the nearest moving sidewalks, everyone walking these streets has the capabilities of buying the items in the passing shops. What a different way of life this is, I unconsciously whisper under my breath. Sia leans in with her arms crossed, but her eyes are pointed at the glass displays of the passing buildings. This is really your first time in the city, isn't it? You may dress the part, but you're definitely not from around here. I gulp softly but reply honestly. There's no reason to lie. Yeah, I've traveled quite a way to get here. I'm looking for a few friends. There's a good chance I'll be able to find them here if I look around for long enough. She laughs. Well, I won't pry, but we owe you one. I'm sure after tonight's performance, there will be many more high rollers coming out to watch tomorrow's show. Ace smirks and turns around. True. I made quite the killing tonight. After that performance you put on, I wouldn't be surprised if the average betting size doubles tomorrow. Dinner's on me. Sia slaps him on the back in a friendly way. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Max points across the street as the moving sidewalk rounds a corner and he steps off onto the solid road. We're here. Welcome to the Moon Bar, Elan's place. As we all step off and approach, faint calming music begins to play through the street, and it only gets louder and more beautiful as the red doors of an exquisite restaurant come into view. A woman in a red robe with white skin and white hair walks out to greet us, and Ace is the first to put out his hand with his wristband up in the air. A table for 4. I'll pay in advance for the premium service. A transaction of 20 gold credits takes place between the 2 platinum wristbands, and the woman nods gently with a thin smile. Very well, esteemed guests. Welcome back. Please follow me to your table. She turns and walks through the red doors, and as soon as we follow inside, I can feel a shift in the air pressure. The mana density in here is far greater than outside. As I activate my all-seeing eye, it's clear as day the air is full of pure dense mana particles and they're passing through everyone. The restaurant is large inside with floating orbs of red, white, and purple light in the air. Each table seating is far enough from each other that noise does not travel between them well. It's at most a muffled chatter. The air feels crisp and relaxing. At the level of skill and mana control I'm at, even without consciously attempting to absorb MP, the environment around me naturally re-ups my bar to full and constantly fills me with a rejuvenating feeling. A premium booth with your personal tree of life. Order as much as you'd like. The bill is already covered. A circular red booth, the same hue as the doors, comes into view, and behind it, a faintly white glowing tree no more than 3 meters tall. Its purple blossoming branches curve over the top of our seating, and the feeling of fresh, rejuvenating energy entering my body becomes even stronger. With my perception skills all still on high, it's clear that this tree is what is putting out about 1,000 MP into the air every minute from the flowers blooming on its branches. As we take our seat, I sense 3 other trees on opposite corners of the large open room doing the same thing, and other guests are spending their night here too. The moment we sit, Blue menu screens pop up in front of us from our wristbands on the table. Simultaneously, other screens with options for drinks and other items and services pop up. Each of them has the option to X them out at any time. Most options are already paid in full by the premium service fee Ace paid in advance. However, one of the largest screens catches my eye. It isn't a screen to buy anything. It is one that looks more like free entertainment or the news. My eyes widen as I realize exactly what's playing on the screen. It's a picture-perfect display of my final fight against the ghoul in the fight area from less than an hour ago. I watch my black blade covered in a red aura slice right through the ghoul's silver sword and disintegrate its orange aura in slow motion over and over again. Each time, the angle shifts and the final strike is examined from every possible side. The program flashes to a man with a charismatic smile as he begins to go over the fight play-by-play for an audience like this is a nightly sports recap program. Chapter 358. The three other legacy fighters start tapping the blue panels that pop up, ordering food and drinks at a rapid rate. I'm too focused on the moving picture display of my fight being analyzed on the nightly Valor City news program like it's no big deal. After a few more seconds pass, the images shift again and one of the sword moves that Ace used to defeat his final opponent shows up on the screen. He chuckles and turns to Max. "Hey, look at that. My finishing move of the Red Ogre made the news." Max crosses his arms to reply. "Not bad, not bad." He turns to me, and I'm still staring at the blue boxes that float around my vision in a dazed state. "What? You're not gonna order anything?" He leans over to look into my status view, and the only thing playing now are the fight matches. I reply in a low tone, still captivated by the screens. "I'll get whatever their most popular item is, and, a few of their strongest drinks." Max lets out another laugh, opening his own menu boxes up again and pressing some on the item options. "Sure, I'll throw in a few orders for you." "Did you dash?" Sia leans over too to see what I'm looking at, finishing Max's sentence. "Did you not know the event was being recorded or something?" She pauses. "Hey, that does beg the question. How'd you use all those skills? I know your main element is fire, but the ground clearly moved beneath some of your opponent's feet. I know better than anyone that is earth magic." Ace jumps in too. "Your buffs also come from a skill too. That red and golden glow. It's the same as the Bloodhound's speed buff and the Red Ogre's strength." Max finishes off the sudden array of questions in a hushed tone. "You're a multi-skill user, aren't you?" I let out a long sigh, turning my head from the screen while Xing out the remaining blue boxes. Meanwhile, I'm thinking whether or not coming to dinner here was a bad idea. I assumed I'd get an unfiltered conversation while everyone was drinking. But the heavy questions have already started, and we've hardly been sitting down for half a minute. Instead of completely outing myself or resorting to violence like usual, I decide to just deflect the question with a few additional details and hope that's enough to curb their interest for now. "It's complicated. You're right though, I had no idea it was recorded. I would have probably fought differently had I known prior. How many people see this news program?" Sia smiles and looks at me with a very curious gaze. "Everyone in the city, of course. A few thousand people minimum. I'm sure you caught some attention from the investors and guild members in the Platinum District." I raise an eyebrow and reply, "What about the Royal Coin sector? Would anyone there be watching?" There's an awkward pause. Then Sia replies, "Well, I wouldn't know that." Max replies too, "Not our business." Ace shrugs and doesn't say a word. His eyes dart around for a moment, then the awkward silence continues. I'm at a loss for words at their reaction, but the calming sound of a woman's voice cuts through the air to alleviate the tension. "Welcome back, Legacy Fighters. You all put on quite the showing tonight. Please, enjoy your stay as always." A woman with smooth white skin and long white hair to match walks over to us with many circular golden trays of food and bottles of drinks floating around her in a slow-moving circle as if she has a telekinesis skill. She looks very similar to the woman that greeted us at the door, almost as if they're related. The only difference is her eyes are much sharper and her curves are far more mature. The woman wears a red dress and points her finger down toward the table in a gentle manner as our orders find their way in front of us before she turns to leave and disappears into the darkness of the restaurant's privacy before anyone can say a word. The moment she does, it still feels like her eyes are staring right through me. Her image is burned into the back of my mind. I'm left speechless, but Max hits me on the back in a friendly way while grabbing one of the bottles to pour us all a drink. That's Elin, the owner of this place. Kind of her to stop by and say hello. I haven't seen her in ages. Ace and Sia take their drinks, so I do too. Clink. We tap our glasses together and begin to enjoy the meals. Any thought of the previous conversations about my skills and the question about the royal coin are in the past. The only thing that fills the table now is laughter, drinks, food, and talks of what kind of matchups they think will be in the 5th and 6th rounds tomorrow. Apparently, there's a pretty normal rotation of 3 or 4 monsters per stage, meaning there's a limited amount of dungeons they capture the monsters from. I take a sip of alcohol, but just like usual my poison resistance passive ability kicks in and it's negated instantly. Still, I keep up with their drinking speed and slow my speech while widening a smile to play the part and not sour the mood. Once I take a bite of the premium cut meats and incredible cooking, however, the euphoria that hits my body and mind is one that I can actually feel. Light plumes of mana flow through every bite, and a notification pops up on my status window once I finish the first plate. Congratulations! Elin's dish consumed. Temporary buff added. 30 minutes. Plus 5% strength plus 5% mana regeneration. I smile at the sound of this. If it was harmful, my poison resistance buff would have negated it already. The woman that came over earlier must have some kind of mana imbuement abilities. It makes sense why this restaurant is so expensive. Maybe I could pull something like this off with my crafting skill if I tried. The 4 of us drink and eat for about 45 more minutes. An interesting phenomenon I find is that every time a new dish is finished, the 30-minute buff timer is reset. The buffs don't stack as I initially expected they would. I turn to Sia as Max starts pouring a 3rd bottle out into glasses. Each of us drinks a considerable amount. Could you tell me more about this city? As I said before, I'm pretty new here. I'd like to know as much as I can if I'm going to be here for a while. She smiles and responds as we all clink our drinks together again. Well, sure, what do you want to know? This is known far and wide as the City of Commerce. But in reality, it's the city of gambling. The only ones that make any money in this place is the city itself. She looks around and whispers under her breath. Until you land a commerce contract, work for the royal guard, or live in the monastery. There's no way of walking out of this city with more money than you came in with. Ace keeps his mouth shut, staring up at the shimmering purple and white tree with glossy eyes and a smile uninterested in our conversation. Max, on the other hand, overhears what Sia has to say and jumps in. It wasn't always like this, you know. My father used to work in this city as a merchant before the... He gets in close to me just like Sia did before whispering again. Before the mercenary guild came to town about a decade ago. He leans back up to sit straight. The city used to run just like any other, with taxes on merchants and relaxed security that let citizens of any financial class explore wherever they pleased. Ace finally turns to us with his arms crossed. That was before our time. Who cares about the good old days? We're succeeding in the system that exists today, so it doesn't matter. Max shrugs and lets out a sigh, then decides to pour another drink. I guess you're right. I just think it's sometimes a bit unfair. People are lured in by the shiny walls and stripped of every dollar they have before they're thrown out. Most of the gear, services, and items here are overpriced. But the only other places to find stuff like this would be in Sector 4 to a certain extent. For real luxuries, they would have to go outside the Dark Continent. That's not an option for almost everyone here. Clink. We say cheers and the strong liquid consumed shifts the conversation in an instant back to a more mundane topic. Another 30 minutes or so of the fight arena talk and meaningless gossip about their lives outside Valor City goes by. Their laughter gets louder, and their words get slower. Now is the time I'll get to start asking some much more serious questions. As I'm about to interject again, a ding sounds in my head and a blue text box pops up in front of my eyes. By the reaction of everyone else at the table, they have received it too. My heart skips a beat when I read the message. Midnight tax. Golden Gates area. 1 gold credit has been deducted from your account. Chapter 359. What's this? A city tax? I thought there were no extra taxes in this city. That's what the fight arena is for. What's going on here? Siatarn stume. The citizen tax is standard. It's only business owners and city officials that are exempt from paying it. However, even for visitors, it's not mandatory. The tax can be avoided as long as you leave the city before the local time hits midnight. Whatever wall you're standing in, you'll get taxed 1 credit of that specific coin. Max sighs and replies under his breath. It's another one of Valor City's new rules. He leans in closer. They've really been cracking down since last year. There was a big shift in the way the Royal Guard protected this city. It seems like every year they want less and less people coming closer to the inner walls. This tax definitely keeps people away. Ace talks for the first time in a while. I agree. The guards have been getting way too close for comfort in the last few months especially. He pauses, staring up at the shimmering purple and white lights for a moment before speaking again. You know what? This all started when Monk beat the first Stage 7 monster. I don't want to point any fingers, but I never even saw a single guard pass the platinum walls until then. Now they're watching matches in the silver gates. Sia laughs and responds. It's true, but you weren't even a fighter in the ring at that point. Were you really paying attention to all this? Hey, I was studying the arena for a while before I entered. He crosses his arms and sits back in his seat, fading out of the conversation again. I speak up. How strong were all of you before you started fighting in the ring? You're all pretty young at levels of strength most could never dream of achieving. Max replies, I could ask you the same thing. He smirks and continues. We were all under level 400 when we started. We could hardly pass the 4th stage. Sia and I started around the same time. Then Ace joined from the crowd like one of the newbie fighters we saw in the ring today and rose through the ranks pretty quickly. I turned to Ace expecting an eye roll or a snarky comment back, but he's checked out. The swordsman either doesn't care or really wasn't listening to Max's remark. Max continues. There are no dungeons free for public use within over 100 kilometers from here. I grew up in one of the villages near the border of Sector 1 and Sector 2. It's easy to grind levels and make money from the unregulated dungeons out in the wilderness, but not many of the smaller village dungeons ever pass more than level 200 or so for mobs. It's known that if you have the talents, you have to move to Solara and use their dungeon hub to reach your full potential here in the Dark Continent. Everyone that passes level 300 has trained in that hub. It's well known. I nod, replying again. So why aren't there any public dungeons here? Wouldn't it be in the city's best interest to let people farm them? Just using the monsters for the fighting ring seems like a pretty wasteful use of materials and energy. Max shakes his head. It used to be that way. The mountains this city was built on used to be inhabited by farmers, miners, and hunters that respected the land, and many men like my father got wealthy off the rich resources. I reply, remembering what he said earlier. Then you said a mercenary guild came in and took over? That's right. Some businessman from outside the continent came in and teamed up with Sector 2 and waged war on the monastery atop this mountain, and took control of all the dungeons and raw resources. Instead of the people in surrounding villages getting resources at premium prices, for the last decade everything is farmed solely by the Royal Guard, and all resources are shipped off to Sector 2 to be crafted into magic items and gear, sold around the world, even outside the Dark Continent walls. My eyes widen at this statement. Unless they have a team of craftsmen working under the Sector 2 leader, my recent escapades may have unknowingly halted an ongoing multinational trade deal. I gulp, but keep asking questions as Max pours out the final bit of alcohol from the table's 4th bottle. Okay, this is all starting to make a bit more sense. The only thing that confuses me is the monastery you keep bringing up. What is this? Sia slips into the conversation to answer this. It's where Monk lives. I'm sure of it. Max laughs at her remark. Yeah. I've never actually seen him go in that place, but it would make sense. I raise an eyebrow. What place? What do you mean? There's a huge temple in the Platinum District. It's on the opposite side of town to the auction house. People say it's the remnants of the old monastery that stood on top of this mountain before the walls were put up. but I was too young to remember what it even looked like. He shrugs. Then we clink our glasses together and take a final drink for the night. The conversation shifts back to what gear they'll get tomorrow morning, or where sales are for collecting mana potions so they can all work on their mana control training like usual before the matches. Then it just falls back to friendly arguing over who is going to beat the 7th stage first out of all of them. Even Ace joins back in to duke it out. A long time passes as I ponder to myself about the information I just heard. The deeper I dig into this, the more complicated things are beginning to become. Max finally is the one to let out a long sigh and pull up a blue text box on his wristband status. All right, it's starting to get very late. I say we turn it in for the night. We have to be well rested for the big matches tomorrow. At the click of a button, the slender white-haired woman that greeted us at the door appears from the darkness surrounding our booth with a thin smile. Her soothing voice replies to the summons. I'm glad you all enjoyed your meals here. Please follow me. I'll gladly escort you to the resting quarters if you wish to spend the night. The three of them all stand up from the table and stretch their bodies before following the woman, so I decide to do the same. We walk to the back of the restaurant, leaving our table behind. There are a few customers still finishing off drinks, smoking, and relaxing as the calm music continues to play in the background. However, almost 90% of people have left for the night. The white-haired woman brings us to a black staircase. As she moves her foot onto the first step, it glows light red to illuminate the walkway. Every step upward lights up red under her feet too, and the lighting slowly fades after she makes it a distance away from it. We all follow up and are given access to separate rooms with a large comfortable bed along with a shower and a view of the city. There are paintings on the walls and everything is accented in black, red, and gold to keep the theme of the restaurant. The woman that brought us upstairs leaves as fast as she came, speaking the same final line as the bedroom door of each of us closes. Please notify us from your wristband if you wish for any further goods or services. Your premium membership extends until tomorrow at noon. The air in the room feels just as rich with mana as the restaurant below. I look around for a moment, scanning the walls to make sure there are no listening or recording devices present. Then, once I'm content the place is clear, I take a long hot shower and go to bed with all the new information from tonight's talk on my mind. Chapter 360. Only a few hours pass before I wake up feeling great. The morning sun is just peeking through the windows, and it's clear I've only slept a few hours, but it feels like I've been resting for an entire day. Even with the use of my Red Hydra's buff in the arena last night, the constant rejuvenation of mana in the air heals me up good as new. Another interesting phenomenon I've noticed recently is that the higher my overall mana control increases, the less food and sleep I need to recharge back up to 100%. Although after intense battles I need a long rest, if I'm just going about my daily life without any physically or mentally exerting challenges, I can go almost 3 times longer without food, water, or sleep than I would have been able to a few months back. My eyes re-examine the extravagant room, then I hop out of bed and walk out into the hall to make my way down the steps. The black stairs still glow red under my feet, but the general lighting of the restaurant is much brighter now, slightly lit up by the morning sun. As my feet hit the bottom step and I walk onto the main floor, a woman's voice echoes through the place. I hope you enjoyed your night. My eyes dart around, but I don't see anyone. In response, I activate my all-seeing eye to spot a figure at the far side of the room waiting for me to walk closer with no ill intent. So, I continue to make my way past the empty tables and light purple glowing trees. The concentration of MP in the air is strong, but nowhere near as intense as it was last night with all the guests here. Once I'm within 5 meters of the exit, the store owner appears in front of me, popping out from behind the closest crimson red bar booth. Instead of her tight red working dress she wore last night to exaggerate her curves, the woman wears a black one that contrasts even more against her snow-white skin and hair. I didn't get to fully introduce myself yesterday. My name is Elin. I watched your match and was very impressed. It looks like there's a new top-tier legacy fighter in town. Mr. Flame Emperor. The corners of her lips curl as she says my fighter name. My gaze narrows, and I finally get to use appraisal and inspect the woman that disappeared from my sight last night. A few readings pop up in my mind's eye. LV. 344, and Mana Imbuement, legendary grade. The mystery of how she's able to add buffs to food items, and most likely the trees in this place too, is explained in an instant. There's nothing too special about this woman, but she's clearly a competent businesswoman and respected by the locals. On top of that, she's interested in me, so I'll play along. I respond. Oh yeah? You watched the matches? Do you usually introduce yourself to all your premium customers? She takes a slow step forward. Not all of them, but you spike my curiosity. I've never had a customer consume more mana than they paid for in a single night. I keep close track of the energy in this establishment and can't fathom where it's all gone. Her eyes lock with mine, and she comes to a halt less than a meter from my face. I let out a sigh, thinking this was going in a different direction. So what, you want me to pay extra or something? She smirks. No. It wasn't much, just the cost of doing business. You're welcome back anytime. Just know, we offer many other goods and services here, as well, that may come in handy for a hunter like you. The two most popular ones would be temporary buff enhancement pills or discreet housing to disappear and heal with no questions asked. How much for one of each of your strongest buff enhancement pills? I'd be interested in that. Nothing else is necessary right now. The tension of her elusive arrival and my attempt for a sneaky exit de-escalates as I purchase 10 small red pills that boost all stat points by 30% and increase mana absorption rate by 15% for 3 hours. I transfer 5 gold credits over to her wristband and place the pills into my pocket, but underneath my disguise, they go straight into my item storage. According to Elin, they can't stack. Each time a new one is consumed, the 3-hour countdown just resets back up to full. I'm interested in examining these later and trying to recreate them with my crafting skill. Making a quick deal with her here may also put me in better faith for future business. It's better to be remembered as the new legacy fighter that is ready to do business than a spoiled young man that comes in paid for by a friend and absorbs as much mana as they can. I nod and turn to leave after our quick interaction. Hey, if the other legacy fighters ask where I've gone off to so early, just tell them I'm off to continue looking for my friends. Maybe I'll show up to the event tonight, but if not, that just means I've found what I'm looking for. She gives me a nod. Of course, I look forward to seeing you again. Likewise, maybe I'll see you soon. At this line, I walk out the door and back into the city within the Golden Walls. The first step I take, there's a moving sidewalk nearby and small golden arrows with shop names guiding citygoers to any specific place they wish to travel to. As I round a corner, one of the pathways on the opposite side of the street sports a small platinum-colored arrow. I hop off this one and get on the route that will take me to the entrance gate of the Platinum Walls. The streets are much quieter right now than they were last night. Almost no hunters, businessmen, or high-class shoppers are on the street at this time of day. I assume most of them left the city last night to avoid the tax or are sleeping in still from the long night. Artifacts, gear, and magical items line the shopping windows as I continue to pass them. The price tags range anywhere from 10 to upward of 100 gold. I even scan a few items on the way past to see a few break 100% buffs. However, the pricing is a bit unreasonable. I can easily farm gear like this for free or craft even better gear once I have the raw materials ready and a moment free to relax. Right now, I only have one thing on my mind: using the money in my balance to make my way into the inner wall. I have just over 12 platinum. It's barely enough to make my way in. Spending exorbitant amounts would not be a good idea even if the gear looks incredible, which many of them do. Finally, I make it to the platinum gates and, just like the silver and gold, there are 2 knights in shimmering platinum-colored armor standing in front of it. I hop off the moving sidewalk and raise my wristband in the air. Immediately, one of the knights steps forward and moves a tablet close to my wrist to scan me in. It goes off a light dinging sound, and the reflection of a green light is visible in the glossy armor of the knight. Simultaneously, the platinum gate opens slowly behind them and the knight that scanned me in steps back into his previous position. Neither of them say a word as I slowly walk through the open doors.